Hello and welcome to another weekly roundup. This one's going to be a bit different because we're doing two things here. If you've been following the channel, you'll see that there's a premiere of a film that I wrote and directed, actually, called The Journey, which is dropping at 7:45. So 45 minutes from now, 43 minutes from now. And we're going to be doing a watch party for that on this stream. If you want to watch the film without the watch party, just go to the link when it comes up. The link will be available from 7:45 to watch The Journey. But the watch party will be happening on this link. So the watch party will be here. I'm going to be joined by a couple of people later that worked on the film, subject to their availability as always. But before we get there, I was doing my weekly roundup on Wednesdays. Well, I've been doing it for 2 weeks now. Of all the shows that I've seen and what I've been watching and that kind of thing. Now, one of the things I want to talk about to kick off, because I'm about halfway through it, I think I'll talk about the new documentary from Netflix. It dropped today, and that is on the missing Malaysian flight MH379. That's got to be one of the most bizarrest mysteries of our time. Certainly, I've followed it because I'm interested in these kinds of stories, and I've followed it from the beginning. And there's a lot of conflicting evidence and theories, and I was hoping that this documentary would sort of sift through some of those for me. And it's 3 episodes, and I'm 2/3 of the way through the second one, so I haven't watched the whole thing yet. So far, I've got more questions than I've had answers, but it has clarified a few things for me. One of the things that's really weird that I haven't been given an explanation for yet, and maybe it will come in episode 3, is why the relatives of the people who were on that plane, why 24 hours after the plane had gone missing, could they call their phones and they got a ringtone? And one of them actually got a call from their dad, but when they went to answer it, it went dead. That's quite odd. And I don't know. It's very, very weird. So if you haven't watched it and you have even a remote interest in aviation, or you're just interested in true crime and you like documentaries in general, I do recommend it. I think it's extremely well made. A number of the relatives of the passengers who have disappeared have taken part, as have a number of the key figures of the Malaysian authorities, thankfully, because it wouldn't be much of a documentary without them. So I do think that it's a show worth watching. It's worth your time. It's on Netflix now. It just dropped today. It's called MH379. I don't know if any of the people that are watching, there's 8 of you watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here. I don't know if any of you guys are watching that show or if you're planning on watching it. But if you are or you have, leave a comment below. Oh, there's one already. Yeah. And Canal Sasquatch, you were on my last stream, the one that I did with Copa Catania. He's going to be coming on again for one of these discussions I've got coming up soon. So thanks very much for subscribing. You're one of my new subscribers. I know that. Really appreciate it. Everything about it is strange. I mean, it may just be a case of what do they call it? Airline suicide, but I don't buy that. I don't know why. And that's just one theory. There's not really a lot of proof to back that up. Yeah, it's a very interesting story. It's a tragic story above everything else, because the people who've lost people on that flight, they can't get closure until they know what happened. Imagine if you had someone on that plane and you'd lost a friend or a loved one on that plane. That would be really difficult for you to process and get over if you didn't have answers. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of theories bombing around the internet, and I mean that must be quite difficult for people as well. But the authorities really did drop the ball on that case. So I do recommend checking it out. Let me just see if I can grab the Oh, let me just also drop this. I've got to post this. Sorry, I was meant to post these links as soon as I went live and I forgot. Terrible, 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 terrible. This is why I need an assistant, you see. Let's just drop that one there. And then we'll just drop this one in here. And we'll be good to go. So a few more things that I've seen this week. I've seen quite a lot of stuff, actually. I try and I don't have lots of free time, but the thing is with me is I don't sleep very well. So what I tend to do is I will put on stuff before I go to bed, and I normally watch at least one film or 2 episodes of a series per day. So it's usually about 2 hours of stuff before I go to bed. So over the week, that does amount to quite a bit, you know. So this week I watched a few funny things and a few serious things. South Park are back, and I have to say they're on top form. So we've had 3 episodes of South Park thus far. The latest episode is about one of the newer inventions of mankind, and it's something that clearly South Park feels every family should have, and that's a Japanese toilet. Let's see if I can get a picture of this up. And of course, the person that buys the Japanese toilet in South Park is Randy. If you don't look, South Park is very much a Marmite thing. I know some people love it, find it very funny. Some people hate it. They find it very infantile. But it's very clever about getting its messages through. This is Randy deciding his old toilet's had its day, and he needs to get a Japanese toilet. And you can see that they have their own special place at the back in the shop here. The cool message is actually that we waste a lot of money and planetary resources on toilet paper per year. And this is presented to us in a pretty good argument done in the style of a sequence from the film JFK in South Park. So the latest episode of South Park is very much a big rip on JFK, and it's pretty funny. Just to remind people, if you've tuned in to do the Journey Watch Party, that's happening at 7:45, and you can stick around for that here, or you can actually watch the film on the channel. South Park is at its best when it's actually making a really serious argument cleverly woven into a lot of nonsense humor, and it does that brilliantly in episode 3. I thought it was really good. I laughed out loud several times, and you don't get to do that in life much at the moment with everything that's going on. So I guess big thumbs up from me if you like South Park, or you gave up on it for a little bit. This season, I think it's season 26, it's back in style and on form. So what else did I watch this week? I watched a couple of films. I saw Women Talking, and then I got an important phone call, and then I didn't see the rest of it. So about halfway in on that one. That's a really unusual film. It's about a group of women who live a bit like the Amish in a modern day society. They've kind of isolated themselves, but people from the modern day world keep permeating their world, and many of them have suffered either sexual assaults or something similar. And they caught one person and they beat them up and nearly killed them. And there's a big discussion about if he isn't brought to justice. The men have taken him into town, but if he doesn't get brought to justice properly, they're going to decide how to punish their own men in their community. You've got some powerhouse actors in there. Fantastic cast, actually. It's pretty good. It feels like a play, and I'm pretty sure it was a play. If you like your good actors and your heavy dialogue, it's one for you. But it's not a date movie. It's definitely not a date movie. It's not a Friday night with popcorn and beers. It's a pretty serious movie. It takes itself very seriously, but it's a good topic. It's quite interesting. but I haven't seen the end of it yet. I only got halfway through, so I need to finish watching it. But yeah, so far so good. It's not a film that would typically be my bag, but it is pretty good. It is pretty good from what I've seen of it. Okay, so what else have I seen? So this week I also saw. I'm a big fan of BMF, which stands for Black Mafia Family. That's a pretty good show. I'm also watching the Wu-Tang Saga, and I didn't know anything about the Wu-Tang Clan other than I'd seen their clothing all over the place. I really didn't know the history behind them, their music, or much more about them. So I'll deal with that first. I'm going to do a stream about the Wu-Tang Saga because I'm particularly interested in how close it is to the reality. I've been looking at video footage of all the real characters. So anybody that hasn't watched it, it's the true story of the Wu-Tang Clan, who was basically became a clan of singers who all got together under the umbrella of the Wu-Tang Clan, brought together by one main guy. I really like the actor. I really rate the actor that plays him. RZA is the name of the character. And he sort of mixes beats and comes up with tunes and things, and other people are contributing lyrics and so on. And it's really about the story of their rise to fame and glory, I guess. And there's 2 seasons out at the moment. I'm coming to the end of season 2. I binged season 1 in 2 nights. One night when I found it. Really liked it. Thought it was a good cast, compelling story. It's a rags to riches story, and you know, I like that because we're all of us that are creative are trying to earn a crust by doing what we love. Not a lot of people get to do that. Creative people, for the most part, try and earn money or make a living by doing what they love. Actors, directors, writers, etc. And it can be a very, very painful journey and extremely difficult at times. And God, don't I know it. So the Wu-Tang Clan Saga shows all of that stuff and more, along with the kind of romantic relationships. There's a lot of stuff around some of the parents in some episodes, but BMF concentrates more on the family, whereas Wu-Tang Clan concentrates more on the members of the band. So BMF, Black Mafia Family, is the true story of 2 brothers, Meech and remember the name of the other one. I'll come back to me. But who grew up in a very poverty stricken area, but made their way in the world and became 2 very successful drug dealers with a bit of an empire behind them. And these guys were, I guess you would say, they were the Scarface of their day. The show is set in, it starts in the, I think the first episode might have even been 79, but it starts early 80s. And I think we're coming into the 90s now because everyone's wearing baggy trousers. But it's a really good show. The production design on it's really good. It really captures that time. That's the time I grew up in. I hadn't heard the story of these 2 brothers before. Again, it's true crime, true story. I'm always interested in these kinds of topics. Extremely well acted, extremely well directed. In fact, I'm going to get the IMDb up for this and just talk about a couple of the casts because we've got a bit of time to kill before my guests come on, and we're getting the we're doing the journey talk through. So those of you that are watching, thanks very much for coming. Do hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'm doing a weekly roundup every Wednesday unless I'm doing an interview or I have a professional commitment. And I will generally try and do a retro review or a discussion late on Saturday nights because I've been noticing I don't go out much on Saturdays. I'm going out on Fridays, but not so much Saturday. So that's what we're going to do. So let me show you some of the cast in this because the cast in this are really good. Let's just go to the Wu-Tang one first. Here we go. So this is the Wu-Tang Saga that I was talking about. and it's actually created by the guys behind the Wu-Tang Clan. So two of the main guys that I think produced and co-write the show. And so you may wonder how true it is, and you know, whether it's just softening up anything. But I didn't feel like that when I watched it. I really didn't feel like that when I watched it. So the cast are really strong. Going to give Shamik Moore a shout out. I've seen him in several things before. I really rate him. Ashton Sanders is one of my favorite actors. This kid is got phenomenal presence. He's a really, really good actor, and he really holds his own in his scenes. Now, his acting's been criticised in the show for being quite stilted, and I thought, well, hang on, he's playing a real guy, so before I judge his acting, I need to see what the real guy's like. and he's he's very close to RZA, his performance. So you might think when you're watching him, with his delivery and everything, that it's not on par with other performances you've seen. But don't forget, he's playing a real guy, and he's trying to emulate that guy. Sadiq Saunderson, who plays D-Love, is very good as well. Another really talented actor. I mean, you've just got, it's predominantly an African-American cast. And I mean, you know, there's not a weak link among them. So they've really done their job on the casting for this show. Dave East is another actor I've seen in quite a few things. He's always very good. There's Shamik Moore there again, Jason Lauder, and a few others. Yeah, I mean, if you're even just interested in the birth of music, or how bands struggle to get their sound heard, and the hurdles they have to go through, you know, this is a really good show to give you an insight into that. So anyone who's creating their own music or is seeking a music career, particularly if you're into rap, hip hop, that kind of thing, you know, you want to check out the Wu-Tang American Saga on Hulu. I think the next season, I think the season I'm watching now, I think may well be the last one. I don't know if they're doing a third, because it says there, final season Feb 15th. I'm pretty sure that's the season I'm watching now, but I could be wrong. So yeah, do check them out. It's really, really good. All right, let's have a look at BMF. So BMF is the other show that I'm watching. Again, predominantly an African-American cast, but I really like it. It's, again, if you're not into true crime, if you're not into the sort of looking at that realm of history, it may not be for you, and that's okay. But I think it's a very good show. It's really well done. I like the fact that it's a period show, and it takes you back to the 80s and the 90s, and the attention to detail with the costumes, the production design, all of that stuff is really good. I think Demetrius Flannery, I think he's a relative of one of the actual guys. If I might be wrong about that, but I think that's right. This actor, Miles Truitt, man, he's great. He kind of gets compromised in the show. I don't want to get into spoilers, but he's really good. And Sydney Mitchell, yeah, she's very good in the show too. Quite a bit of a smaller role. Monique, of course. Demetrius Flannery, I think this is his first major acting role. I mean, he's fantastic. Now, Steve Harris and Kelly Hugh, you would have seen in other things. Steve Harris kind of plays a sort of borderline corrupt cop, and he's getting Kelly Hugh involved in all kinds of madness. Anyway, it's a true story, and I don't think the bad guys are going to win in the end. It will probably be a bit of a sober lesson on, you know, don't get involved with crime, kids, and quite rightly so. But that's one of the other shows that I've been watching. So I recommend Wu-Tang. I recommend BMF. If you like those kinds of shows, true crime and that kind of thing, or just drama documentaries, very much my bag. So I've seen another feature film that some people have talked about already. And I've seen let me get it up on here. So I'm a big fan of Tom Hanks. I have followed Tom Hanks's career, not since Saving Private Ryan, which is when most people kind of got to know who he was. I've followed his career since he did a film called Bachelor Party. Now, if anybody's watching who remembers Bachelor Party, definitely put a comment in the chat, because Bachelor Party, I still think is a very funny film. Tom Hanks would probably be mortified if I brought it up. But his latest film is a remake of a Nordic drama, and it's called A Man Called Otto. It's available on various platforms now. And Tom Hanks basically plays a grumpy guy, possibly the grumpiest man in America. And he's determined to end his life. So that's not dissimilar to the premise at the beginning of the journey, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Yeah, he's determined to end his life, but his new neighbors, cause him a few problems in that regard. Excuse my cough, I am a bit poorly at the moment. So this is a very different role for Hanks, and I mean, he is probably one of the greatest actors of his generation. He's one of the most versatile actors I've ever seen, and I think it just goes to show that you can, start your career in a film like Bachelor Party. So guys, anyone watching who saw Bachelor Party at the cinema, shout out in chat, because I can't be the only one that saw that film at the cinema. I saw it in a double bill with Revenge of the Nerds. But Hanks is really good in this, and do you know what? It's a really fun movie, and it's very funny. It's quite sad. It's quite poignant. It's based on a book that's originally set in Norway. I believe it's originally set in Norway. There is Fittest 65. He does indeed remember Bachelor Party 1984. You know what? I should do a stream about it because it's a pretty funny film. I watched it not that long ago, and a couple of custard pie moments aside, I thought it was still pretty funny, because Hanks improvises a lot in that film and has a lot of fun with the script, and you can see that. And this was in his kind of youth, his energy days, But here is like the complete reverse. He's maybe what the guy from Bachelor Party ended up becoming. It's quite funny. Now, the original film for this is A Man Called Ovi, which if you haven't seen, I recommend you watch it with the subtitles. Hanks does well to capture the humor that, because Scandinavians and Nordic people have a particular dry sense of humor. My father had it. I'm half Danish. And Gunnar, my father, was very razor sharp with his dry wit, and a lot of that can get lost in translation, especially if you're doing a remake. But Tom Hanks does a pretty good job with A Man Called Otto, and yeah, I give it. What I give it? Give it 8 out of 10. I'd give it 8 out of 10 on IMDb. It's a good, solid film, funny, moving, poignant, great performances from the supporting cast, very believable characters. And it's a very small world that he lives in, and he's a big fish in that pond. And he likes things a certain way, and he hopes to kind of end his life on his terms, but it doesn't go quite as planned. And there's a bit of a twist, and there's a bit of a backstory. I want to shout out a couple of the other actors. So Mariana Trevino, I think I'm saying that right? Trevino, yeah, Mariana Trevino plays his neighbor, Mexican actress. She's great in this, so watch out for her. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of her. How's she doing? She's got 33 credits already, but I think this is her big crossover movie from Mexican cinema, or Spanish even. And again, I'm not familiar with her career, so forgive me if I am incorrect about any of these things. But I can tell she's got a good career in Hollywood ahead of her. She's going to be in demand. Juanita Jennings is an actress who has been around for a very long time. She's got 100 credits. She's done a lot of quite small roles. She's always really good. Very solid actress. She's got quite a nice role in this, and her and Hanks have some really beautiful scenes together. So it's great. Did anyone see A Man Called Otto? Did you like it? Didn't you like it? If you didn't like it, put a comment in the chat. I quite liked it. Like I said, I give it 8 out of 10, maybe 7.5. It's currently got 7.5 on IMDb. I do recommend it. I think most people will like it. It's a good family film as well. So, and we are coming up to 7:30. So I've got one other thing I want to talk about, and then I guess we're getting on to the journey. Yeah, here we go. So I also watched another documentary. And oh my God, some documentaries are not an easy watch, and this was not an easy watch. So this is called Accessory to Evil. And it's a crime documentary. They're very popular. And it's predominantly about the wife of this serial killer, awful serial killer from, I think he was from Belgium. And Monique Olivier is the name of the wife. Let me just put this up here. So I'm going to cautiously recommend this. If you like your true crime, then, you know, if you've seen true crime documentaries before, the stuff that you learn in this, you won't find particularly surprising. But I mean, I don't watch loads of crime documentaries. I like true stories, but I don't particularly focus on crime documentaries. But I'll see ones that get recommended to me. This one had just dropped on Netflix, and I was heading to bed, and I thought I'd catch it, and I caught a couple of episodes one night, and I think there are 4 altogether, and I watched the other 2 after. This woman's husband was one of the most notorious serial killers in Europe. He murdered a number of young girls, including an English girl on a school trip, Michael Fournier, originally from France, but I think they kind of lived between borderline of Ardennes and near Belgium, and quite a remote area. And I think for a long time, his wife tried to portray herself as someone who was not involved in these crimes, but she clearly was involved. And she not only was she involved, but she was his accomplice on at least a couple of them and allowed them to happen. So it's really a documentary that shines a light on her, because quite a lot's been done about him in the press, and it's quite rare that a couple will work together to kill people or so on. And yeah, I mean, this is one evil woman, God. And I found it hard. I found it quite a hard watch. I've got to be honest. I struggled at times I had to turn it off a couple of times. And for me to say that is quite a big thing. Yeah, there was a couple of times I just thought, I've got to turn it off. So I just go back to Fittest 65. I really enjoyed A Man Called Otto. I loved his character. Was a great character. Do check out A Man Called Ovi, the original Fittest, because I think you'll like it. And I mean, obviously, I think that, you know, Tom Hanks saw it and said, we got to remake this, and bought the rights. And I don't have a problem with people remaking Scandinavian or French films. You'll remember 3 Men and a Baby was originally a French comedy. But, you know, no one in America saw that. So they remade it for the American market. And I think that's okay. That's fine. So, you know, now I've just had a text from one of my guests. So I'm I'm just sending him a message back. And then, we'll get into that in a bit. Yeah, should you watch it? Well, if you're into that sort of thing, Accessory to Evil is it's pretty strong. I mean, it's interesting because it's not a perspective that you get very often, but I found it hard to stomach. I've got to be honest, and I wanted to forget about it as soon as I'd finished watching it. I mean, maybe that's just because right now there's a lot of evil in the world, and I probably don't want to watch documentaries that remind me that there are a horrible lot of evil people around going way back when. Yeah, it's a pretty tough watch. Got to be honest. I can't even rate it because I don't feel it's a piece of work that I can sit down and say, yeah, it was, it freaked me out so much. It's a 9 out of 10. You can't really do that with a documentary about this. All I can say is that it's well done. It covers a unique and interesting perspective that you don't often see in sort of true crime shows. So for that reason, I'd say if that's your bag, then by all means watch Accessory to Evil on Netflix. But if that is not your bag, I would leave it well alone. I wouldn't go anywhere near it because it's not a fun time, and it's definitely not a date night watch either. So, there we go. So we're coming up to 7:33. So just to explain what's going to happen tonight, and there's still 6 people watching. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Don't be afraid to chuck in a comment, say hi, because these are the times when I can chat to you when the numbers are small. And I will always try and chat to people that come and support the channel. I really will, because I very much appreciate you giving your time to watch. But what's going to happen is at 7:45, the journey will go live on the channel, which means people can watch it at their leisure. So if I go to the screen of that now, I'll show you, and I'll put the link in the chat as well. So here it is, premieres in 11 minutes. This is the link. I'll put it in the chat. So if you want to just watch it, then by all means, at 7:45, you can jump off this stream if you want, and you can go and watch my feature film. I'll tell you a little bit about it, guys. There's 8 people watching, and I bet most of you have never even heard of it. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's based on a true story about the first time I went to Greece, which happened in 2009. And my good friend Angela Thomas was a very close friend of mine who I was writing a play with at the time, ostensibly about her life, actually. She had a brain aneurysm and was rushed into hospital. And I had exactly the same thing happen to me a few years earlier. And she had a swelling on her brain, and they were going to have to drill into her head and reduce the swelling, and it was very serious. So I rushed in to see her. And this was a girl I had great affection for, but we never really had that conversation. And it was obvious she was in a very bad way. And this is in a hospital in Romford, which is not the most fun place to go. Let me tell you, it's a bit like Newark after dark. But yeah, so I went there, had a long conversation with her, basically my objective of which was to make her laugh and just try and see that she was okay. And then I'd arranged to stay with a friend whose family lived in that part of the world. And so I would be there first thing in the morning. And she made me responsible for her medical care, which was a real shock. Because I don't think there wasn't really anyone there taking decisions. And that had, that was difficult because I'd only ever met her. I'd never met her sister. I'm great friends with her sister now, but I hadn't really met any of her friends, and people didn't really know who I was. So it was quite difficult when I turned up in the waiting room. Kathy Odesanya, who's a girl I've worked with since, um, was one of Angie's friends. She was sitting there, and she's like, "Who's this?" Big sister, little brother. Is that Kathy that's just come on now? Oh, if Kathy, if that's you, say hi. And that was the first time me and Kathy met. And anyway, very tragically, Angela died, but not before I went back in to see her. And I got as far as the bus stop, and I turned around and I went back in. And if you want to see what I said to her before she passed away, you can watch that in the film because the scene is there. She died on the Friday they turned off the machine, and my dad's twin brother, Uncle Moans, he died on the Sunday, and my mother had died about 8 weeks before. Oh, it's Jess. Hi, Jess. Nice to see you. Yes, you worked with me at the premiere. Yes, you did indeed. Lovely to see you. And sorry, where was I? So yeah, it was I mean, what a weekend, you know. Angela died on the Friday. My uncle died on the Sunday. My mother had died about 2 months earlier from cancer. And actually, that was one of the things that made me and Angela really close. And she was kind of helping me get through that. So, yeah, and then suddenly she was gone. Anyway, I was in a chat room because we had chat rooms back then, if you remember them. Oh, you're too kind, Jess. Thank you very much for saying that. Jessica worked at the premiere of The Journey, which we had a few years ago. And yeah, I was in a chat room online, and somebody, I don't know to this day who they were. I was venting, and you know, you'd have your main room and you'd have little boxes so people could speak to you individually. And I was venting in the main room. I think I'd downed half a bottle of whiskey, and I'm not a big drinker at all by any means. And back then, I barely drank at all, so I was pretty hammered. And I was kind of venting, you know, what's happening. I don't understand. All these people have been taken from me. And what did I do in my previous life to deserve this kind of thing? And this guy was typing to me on his laptop in a hammock in Greece. And he was let me change the banner because we're moving on to the journey now. Sorry. Here we go. Boom. There we go. We should be joined by Alex Tabrizi in a little bit. So I was yeah, I was on this this chat with this guy. I think it was a guy. I can't even remember if he told me his name, but anyway, and he approached me, not the other way round, and said, you know, I've been listening to your or reading your conversation. Really sorry to hear your news. I'm in this island in Greece. I'm at this hotel, and I missed my last. This is what he said to me. I missed my last boat home, and the owners of the hotel have let me stay here because I haven't got enough money for a room, and they're full. But they've let me sleep in the hammock, and I've had lunch. I've had dinner here, and all that kind of thing. And I was like, right, okay, you're typing to me from a hammock. And he said, anyway, you should come to this island. I'll tell you, if you come here, you'll feel a lot better. And I was like, I never even thought about going to Greece before. I don't know why. It just wasn't on my radar. I traveled to America a lot. And so he sent me the link for the hotel. It's called Rosie's Little Village. Rosie's Little Village, beautiful little hotel on an island called Accessory. Hang on, let me leave that out there. Sorry. And I'll see if I can put the link in the chat for the hotel because it's lovely. It's a really nice hotel. I mean, there are some people that go there who think like they own it. I have noticed that, and unfortunately, all of those tourists who act that way are British, which is a bit of a shame. But it's a really great hotel run by a husband and wife and a son, who I think is probably gonna take it over ultimately. And to cut a long story short, within so that that chat happened on Sunday. That conversation happened on the Sunday night. By Tuesday evening, I was in Greece. Wednesday morning, I was landed on that island. I had to stay one night in Piraeus in the hotel from Doom, where the room was even smaller than what you can see here. And you know, your foot was kind of almost on the toilet seat out of the bed, kind of thing. But once I got to the island, oh my god, what a change! And it was just so beautiful. It's a shame I haven't got the folder with those photos in on this computer, because I could show you them, because I took a load of photos until my battery in my camera ran out. Remember when you had to use the small cameras? You didn't have a camera on your phone. Remember that? And Rosie and Nondas, who ran the hotel, kind of really took me under their wing and looked after me. And we all went to this deserted island that night for a barbecue. They did it once a week with the guests, and I just happened to be arriving sort of on the day. And she only had one spare room for 3 days, and then for the rest of the week she was going to move me around a bit to some other friends' hotels. So I changed hotels twice. They were all like within walking distance of each other, you know. It's a really small, beautiful island, and I separated myself off from the group as the barbecue was starting, and I just sort of walked around this little lonely island, and it was really warm. This was the first week of August 2009. And the air was so thick, you know, it's almost like you're putting your hand through jelly. So you'd have a t-shirt on as the sun was going down, you wouldn't get cold. And I looked out across the sky and I saw this mountain range in the distance, and of the mainland, because we were quite close to the Greek mainland on the island of Agistri. It's only an hour's boat ride out of Piraeus. And I saw the most amazing sunset. You know, one of the most amazing sunsets that I've ever seen up to that point. And I just thought, and I just suddenly felt all right, like not great, but like I could cope for a little bit. And I swear to you, in that moment, Angela was standing like right beside me, because I could feel her presence. And I realized that it was her doing. I don't know how she did it, but I don't know whether that was her typing to me, or whether she influenced somebody to reply to my rant online. But it was her doing that I ended up on that island. So that was entirely because of her. So that's the true story behind how I came to go to Greece, and which would form the nucleus inspiration for the original script, which went through a number of changes for all kinds of different reasons, which we'll probably talk about on the watch party. And but one of the characters called Jason, who's played by the wonderful Duncan Powell, who's a fantastic actor, who's second from the left in the image with the sort of green, khaki green shirt on. Oh, well, we better mute this, haven't we? So, yeah, so that's that his storyline is very much based on my experience and what I went through. So the Journey feature film, as you can see, it's going live in, well, less than 2 minutes. I thought I would have somebody else here with me by now, but they're not here yet. Now, just excuse me for a second, because I'm going to dash to the bathroom. So I will be right back. Sorry about that. Right, that was Angela Thomas, the real Angela Thomas you just saw, and we're going into the opening titles now. And boy, was it cold when we shot that shot with actress Valile Tushalabla. I'm probably going to keep this muted most of the time, but this bit at the beginning is based on the scene when all the friends were in hospital, and then you kind of get a brief snapshot of reactions of things going on to people. By the way, one of my guests is trying to get online right now, but it's having issues. I don't know why that's the case, but I think I might just resend him the link just in case there's an issue. So let me just do that quickly. So forgive me, guys. Sorry. So this scene now, all of these shots in London, I'm extremely unhappy with these, and I'll tell you why. Little story: we were only into our second shot when this guy, this park keeper guy, basically had got mugged by two drug addicts, and he'd been shut inside this sort of concrete. It was an old bird pen, but it was really well sealed, and he had a really bad head wound. He was bleeding profusely, and he was trying to get out, and he couldn't climb out because the only way to get out was up through the windows in the ceiling. And we heard him screaming for help, and all these people were ignoring him. So my DOP, second unit DOP, she broke in through the skylight. Eventually, we rescued him. It took 2 hours to do this, and then we had to be interviewed by the police. And the police wouldn't let us go to carry on filming. So we all just kind of sat round. So what happens in the film is you get introduced to a series of characters one at a time. This is the character of Will, played by actor Mark Zammit, who's now a successful film director. I think he's on his second or third feature. Hang on, I'm going to have to take this, guys. Sorry. Sorry, my guest is having technical issues getting on. So, yeah, this is Mark Zammit's flashbacks about his relationship. I don't think you find his character's name much in the, but that's interesting. We've got subtitles coming up. See that? Now YouTube's done those automatically. We didn't do those, so that's pretty fascinating. So the film starts. This beginning was not in the original script at all, and it starts with Jason Fleming's character, who's called Ozzy, stopping Will's the character of Will, played by Mark. We don't find out much about him. We find a little bit out about him, but he's basically going to try. He tries to kill himself, and Ozzy's character stops him. And in short, the one of the key messages of the film really is about people helping people when they're in a really bad place, but not just helping someone who's in a bad place, but still being able to help someone when you're also in a really bad place. And here's one of my guests is here, who appears in the film shortly. Well, in a little bit. Hello.
How you doing, Lance? Wow, that's beautiful shot, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think you were there that day when we got that shot.
I know I was there because we got up about 4 o'clock in the morning,
and it was freezing cold. Now this shot is from the first shoot, and this shot was done on the first day, because I remember that olive tree. This shot was also done on the first shoot. So we're going into the movies.
What treatment have you got on that? Have you added some filters afterwards? And this is back on the second shoot, this shot, isn't it?
Yeah, this is on the second shoot. So I had an idea very clear from the beginning that I wanted the titles to be in Greek and then change into English. and I think that really works. So if I take the mute off, you've got the score by Andrew Christie on here, which is a really beautiful piece of music, and we introduce various characters traveling to the island in Greece.
Who's
And
that handsome fellow?
who's that handsome chap? I don't know, Dick, and it looks almost like a younger version of you.
It's definitely not me. Someone from
Yeah.
a different lifetime. What are you? Did you put filters on first? Did you set up the light and the camera first, or did you do that in post? Because
No,
the colours look so beautiful.
No, we played around. It's the grading process. So we played around with the grading process. And of course, we shot on 2 different cameras, both good cameras. But we had one of the first generation Black Magics, which was a much maligned camera for not having lots of bells and buttons and knobs and whistles on it, but was a really good piece of kit. You could do an awful lot with it. I mean, this shot here
is often the best way. The most simple things often do what they do better because they're simple.
Yeah, and I mean, this shot here, this is a Black Magic Generation 1. And I mean, that's great depth of field in that shot.
Oh God, I remember that day. That was a bit hectic, wasn't it? Because it was so busy when ferries were coming in, and we had to get someone out onto it for the goodbye shot.
That's right, and I think that was this ferry. And so we did this shot as it came in, and then we picked up all the kit.
Oh, Karen Chapman, she helped out so much. Christine on makeup was amazing.
There's a big shout out to Karen Chapman in the making of.
Yeah,
I think she's living back in the UK now.
It was wonderful to do the scene with Jason Fleming as well. Lovely.
Yes, right. Yeah, I can't go and dot at her house in Greece, as was my intention at one point. But there's you. And yeah, the idea was to do this whole sequence of people arriving, and I think this was cut together from 2 different days. So these shots.
Yeah, that's right. Because the second day we shot it, there was a beautiful mist just hanging over the harbour, and we couldn't include it in the shot because it didn't match with the first day's shooting. And it was such a beautiful look. I couldn't believe this. You know, we're in a best baking hot country, beautiful, and a beautiful idyllic scenery, and this mist just came down. It was beautiful.
It was a ring of mist as well, because it hung 10 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Went for about 10 feet or 20 feet even, and then that was it. And it was really weird. It was like this ring. And what was really annoying was I gave Valile the morning off when that happened. And that would have been the perfect time to have done loads of shots with Cytherea, with the mist and all this kind of stuff. Imagine if we'd done her doing the arms on top of the mountain with mist below it and the ship come. I mean, you know, but you can't plan for these kinds of things.
I just saw Sharon Sarantino's credit there.
Casting director extraordinaire. Yeah. This was great because this whole group of school kids who got off the same boat that we put Jason on were just sort of, the timing of that was so good, and they were great. They didn't look at the camera and they didn't do anything annoying, and they just kind of beelined around the crew. They could see we were filming.
It was so fun working with this guy Mitchell. What a gas that was.
Yeah. You and Mitchell got to do your big.
It was a big bromance, I think, for a while.
Big bromance scene, which we'll see in a bit. I'm hoping we're going to have Alex Tabrizi on in a bit as well.
He'll breeze in his own time.
I've resent out the link again, including to Mitchell as well, just in case he does.
Yeah, the link I had was wrong. It was for the
I don't know what happened there.
Review you were doing last week.
Oh, okay, all right.
Dimitri, of course, he was a major character on the show.
Dimitri Rastapopoulos, is that right?
I'd rather you try and pronounce that than I.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, so he plays Nondas, who was based on Nondas, the real Nondas that of course owned the hotel, or part owned it, with Rosie. And the real Nondas was very tall, kind of leathery man. And with Dimitri, we kind of had a sort of more short, squat individual, but he did a really good job. Hang on, I just got to announce him.
He's breezed in. He's breezed in.
The breezy clown horn in the house. Now, Alex is the only crew member who was on every single shoot of the journey. He was on all the London ones. He was on all the Greece ones. He was on every single day. And he was also on most of post-production and everything. Now, this is the scene where we introduce the character of Jason, played, of course, by the extraordinary Duncan Powell, puts in an incredible performance. And who's that with him, Alex?
Oh,
he's good.
Tassus Nucius.
Tassus, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
He's a sexy looking man, isn't he?
Tassus Nucius is a sex god. Like, everywhere he went, everyone in Greece knew he was. He was, you know, somebody said he's like the Laurence Olivier of Greece. So he's very big in theatre. He's done a lot of big TV shows. And he had a particular process that he liked to work. And he also wanted to do a lot of rehearsals. But we were told we had him for 3 days. Then we were told we would have him for a day and a half. Then we were told we would have him for a day. And then on the day, we were told we had him for half a day. So I had to cut like half of his scenes out and just shoot with what I had. Calimera. Good evening, Calimera. Yeah, we had a lot of Calimeras. And there's a hello, especially for Alex there from Fiddis 65. Very good year, that whiskey.
Was Iria anything to do with casting this guy?
No. The contact for him was I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but I always called her Iguana. And I think she knew him from a previous project. She approached him and she got him on board. That was one of the Greek producers.
But Iria did most of the Greek casting, didn't she?
She might have got Stelios. I honestly can't remember who got which Greek actors. I mean, all the local Greek actors that we got while we were there. Because Iria wasn't on any of the shoots in Greece.
Oh.
So the actors that we got when we were filming would have come probably through Aggie and Kiki.
Yep. They were both really cool. Really cool.
Now this scene is all on the first.
More than casting, to be fair, didn't they? They did quite.
I mean, look, they did loads of stuff. They did. That's why they get a really big like credit at the front. They were primarily our stage manager, not stage managers, our production managers. So I still got my theatre hat on from doing False Accounts. They're predominantly our production managers, but they ran the production office. And I mean, you know, we had a really small crew. It was only about, I think, 14 of us tops. That was the biggest it got. And then on some days we were 12 or 8 or 6, depending on where we were. And but you know, as soon as we were doing lunch, they were straight on it. They prepared lunch, got it all ready for everybody. Cheese and tomatoes all round, you know. Back in the day when you could still find tomatoes in the shops, of course.
Now the only reason I was on the shoot, correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, is because Duncan couldn't make the second shoot. Did he get a big job or something and couldn't complete the shoot?
So, to qualify Dickon's comment, someone spotted Mitchell. See his fan club's in. That was in the earlier shot there. This is Duncan arriving at the hotel. We're going to see Lindsay Coulson in just a second from EastEnders.
She's lovely. I really like Lindsay.
And for those people who can't remember who Lindsay Coulson is, it's she played Bianca's mother.
Patsy Palmer's mum.
Patsy Palmer's mum. That's right. So yeah, what happened was because the film was originally Jason's story, played by Duncan Powell. And everything that I planned for the film didn't happen. So the film is the end product of the film is a testament to everything that you plan will probably go wrong. So try and, you know, you plan for all eventualities, but you can't, and you have to be fluid. And I mean, we could have ended up with no film, and I would have wasted a lot of money, time, and energy, along with a lot of other people. But we got halfway through, and when we were due to do the second shoot, Duncan got cast in 24, and the commitment for that went right through. And we were already booked. We had hotels, flights, all of that, all booked. So we were committed, because if we cancelled, most of that stuff, the stuff we always had to pay for, flights and that kind of thing, was non-refundable. So, and we'd booked the other actors as well. So I kind of screamed out loud, "Oh my God, I've got to make this whole film again with someone else." And then I thought, hang on, that's the solution. And I sat down and looked at everything we had, and I rewrote the script around everything we'd shot and split the main character into 3. And that's when the idea came to make it 3 people going through a bereavement process instead of 1. And then I would find a way to connect them together. And that evolved as I rewrote the next draft of the script, how to do that. Jason Fleming called me the Houdini of script writers for pulling that off.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, for sure.
Yeah. Now this was a shot that I suggested to Malta, our DOP, on the first shoot. Originally, the camera was going to be behind Duncan and shoot past his head. And I said to Malta, why don't we put the camera up on the roof and slowly pan up and out to the sea? And Malta looked at me and smiled, and he went, "You're learning." And Malta, you know, is a fantastic DOP, and God, he never stops working. And oh, this is Mitch. So this is Mitchell, by the way, online. This is Mitchell watching. And it's Mitchell texting. Yeah, he's on the stream. Mate, if you want to join us, Mitchell, check your email. I have sent you a link so you can come on. So Mitchell, if you want to come on, go into your email, click on the link, and we'll bring you in. These are our characters kind of arriving on the island, and we know that there's something wrong with all of them. We're not quite sure what it is, but the thing that connects them all is that they've all lost somebody. Alex, you said your connection's a bit rubbish. Do you want to try speaking?
It seems to be all right. Seems to be all right now. It was initially, it was, yeah.
I'm liking your Freddie Mercury look. Is it? Do you want to talk, Alex? Do you want to talk us through this is the nightmare sequence on the first shoot?
Yeah.
You want to chip in a bit?
Gosh. Well, I remember everything. I remember where I was with all of these shots. You know, where I was stood, the sort of day, the feeling. It's actually really weird watching it back because of it not being in chronological order. It's like over 2 years, isn't it? But every image places me in a place in time, like physically on those shoots. And you remember the atmosphere, and you know what you did after, where you went for lunch, and you know we're limited to a certain perspective, to a view of the frame, but you know exactly what's to the left and to the right and behind. And so it's really strange watching it because it's over 2 years and it's not, you know, I'm back and forth in time watching it.
That's Shirin. She was so lovely, wasn't she?
Yeah, so that's Shirin Yosefian, who plays Rosie. Now, I've got to say something about her. So Shirin was at the hotel she was at Rosie's hotel when I went there in 2009 in my state of bereavement. And I met her on like my 4th day. And I overheard her talking about rehearsals for something to her husband. And I said, are you an actress? And thus a friendship was born. And, you know, I never dreamed I was going to go back and make a film about it. Because, of course, at the time I met Shirin, as she says in the making of, I was living it, you know. But she actually, I said I was going to go and spend my last couple of days in Athens. And she said, well, why don't you come and stay with us? There's Lindsay Coulson. You see her for the first time properly. Now, she's also based on someone I met at the hotel. So Shirin was a guest at the hotel and ended up playing Rosie, who she knows very well. Did a pretty good interpretation of her. Lindsay's character was based on a guest I met, whose real name I've forgotten, but I named the character after my mum. I didn't want to name it after the real person. And the woman in question was going through a really horrible divorce with her Greek husband and had come there for a week to kind of mentally recuperate. in the film, it's an Italian husband because I didn't want to be making a statement in the film about Greek men or because it's a love
Italian men instead.
Well, the film's a love letter to Greece, isn't it? So you see the subtitles coming up on the thing there. They're automatically generated by YouTube, so they're not. I didn't do those, which is interesting. But yeah, and I ended up like I spent most of my last day with her, and when she realised I was going the next day, she was like, "Oh my God, are you leaving?" No, you know, and she was nowhere near as predatory as Lindsay's character. I just wanted to try and make the character a bit bigger and more fun. The woman I met was, you know, she was very damaged. She was very fragile. And I didn't even tell her what had happened to me with Angela and everything, or my mum. I just sort of ended up trying to say to her, well, yeah, but, you know, at least you're not 70. You shouldn't, don't look at it as a bad thing, what's happened. Think of it as it's over now and you're moving on. And that's, I think some of that dialogue's in the film near enough, isn't it? I think that's something that Duncan says, or Duncan playing Jason says to her. Now I think we cut back to Mitchell, I think, after this, who may or may not be coming on or is probably trying to get on.
Did you send him the new link today?
I did, yeah. I sent it to him. This is one of my favourite shots in the movie, Dick. And
this is such a beautiful part of the island.
Well, we found this on our second day of recceing. Me and Alex kind of went exploring, and we came across it. And I looked at Alex and said, "We got this cemetery is perfect. This has got to be in the film." And yeah, I wrote it. I wrote the cemetery into the script. I didn't get to look at the cemetery properly until we were there, but on the first recce, when I went to Eggener before we filmed, it was about a year earlier. I saw it from the road, and
isn't this Tia though? Kia, sorry.
Kia.
Sorry, this is Kia. This is Kia. I'm sorry. You're right, Alex. This is Kia. So we shot on Eggener and Kia. Eggener the first shoot, Kia the second shoot.
I cringe every time I see me running in any of these shots because I've just had knee surgery not long before the shoot. So I was trying to cause as little impact on the joint as possible.
Yeah, you do this very strange thing where you flap your arms about.
Yeah, well, that's to show tiredness. But the knee was just in total pain the whole time.
Yeah. This is this chase sequence. I mean, this is really where the film is quite slow up to this point, and I always say to people when they're watching, wait to get to the scene where he sees the woman in white in the cemetery, and if you get to the end of that scene and you're still not interested to know what happens, then okay, the film's not for you. You know, turn it off. But
look at that, he's sprinting.
Yeah, I mean,
it's absolutely boiling.
If she didn't have magical powers of teleportation, you would have caught her no problem. Further away, and you just couldn't quite get there.
I do think that the pace and the length of the film is a bit European, shall we say? You know, so it's in keeping with its setting. Yeah,
I mean, I always imagined the film was going to be 2 hours, even with the original script. It was a 2-hour movie. It wasn't a 90-minute action film or a 90-minute comedy. It's a cerebral film about people dealing with loss and how maybe the people that we've lost might reach out to us and let us know that they're doing all right, or to try and comfort us in some way. Let me send this link to Mitchell again to see if we can. Obviously, it'd be great to.
So remember, is the donkey coming up with the guy?
I think
you've seen it.
You just jumped over the donkey poo. I mean,
donkey
will be back.
That same donkey appears in about three shots in the movie, if I remember.
And it was just him taking his journey, doing his rounds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He used to saddle up, I think, on the donkey, the very back of the donkey, and he sort of old man, you know, sort of like just hopped up. Sort of like what?
Yeah, like he was some athlete, some gymnast.
And then there's this other old guy who we saw whenever we were filming This Is Horror on Kia, whenever we were filming, this old guy here with the checkered, he's got Dickens'
matching shirts.
he was constantly walking up and down this road, and we called action, and I could see he wasn't going to stop. And Richard said, "Should I cut?" And I was like, "No, don't cut." Those two ladies were just sitting there, and I wrote the dialogue for them on the spot, and I just thought it'd be good to include some locals in that scene. And the woman on the right is the spitting image of my late mum. Yeah, so it was actually quite kind of nice. Again, I kind of felt maybe she was kind of trying to message me, saying, "Oh, I see what you're up to, son," you know.
Oh,
so this is Stelios.
I really like Stelios. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, talk about how was it working with him?
Yeah, he was really fun. He was a local, and you know, he was a working actor as well. He was doing quite a bit of work at the time of this series. So he was on point, and it was just really nice to do a scene with someone who's on point, and we didn't need to do many takes. We didn't need to go over everything. You know, he was a really good professional actor, and a really nice guy. We went out for drinks and dinners a couple of times. So yeah, I became really quite fond of him.
So this is one or two scenes where I think I could have done a better job with the direction with you, Dickon. I feel I could have reined you in a little bit, but I need to caveat that with, if I had done that and we had reined you in and made you sort of, which the only way you really could have gone is gone more quiet and more moody, then you would have been very similar to Duncan's character. And I actually was trying to avoid that. I didn't want two characters that were very similar. I wanted them to be completely different.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I've said before, and I'll say it on a public forum now, if anyone thinks that Dickens' acting is too big, that's my fault, not his, because it was my job as director to pull that in. And I feel there's two scenes where I should have done that. This is one of them. The other one is later. Not that you did a bad job, Dickon, by the way. You did a great job. I just think I could have done a better job for you. Wow. So
well, like you say, the characters are really distinct from the other two. And I mean, they're all three great characters, three great actors.
Do you remember how hot it was that day? And Richard Roberts had the what do you call it, Alex? The harness thing on the
the stabilizer,
Steadicam rig. And I think we did 2 takes of it, and he had to take a 20-minute break, and he was dripping with sweat.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, you can see from the sky, it was boiling. We shot this around middle of the day as well. By the time we were doing this,
all the locals are like, you know, only mad dogs and Englishmen who go out in the midday sun.
Yeah.
They're all sitting in the shade doing absolutely nothing.
Then you see here, and actually it's the only time you see it in the film, that there's also a connection between the priest and Mitchell's character, possibly a romantic thing, who knows. But you don't find out what it is. But I mean, I could tell you that he's going through a slightly different experience from the other two characters. The other two characters can see the person they've lost occasionally, but can't quite connect with them. Whereas Mitchell's character can't see them at all. And there's a reason for that. So he's trying to find answers anywhere he can, which is why he's come home. And then we got Jason Fleming again, mysteriously appearing.
He was so cool, man, working on this.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this really, but he got a tan on the shoot.
Yeah, I mean, he basically bunked off that. Well, he had a weekend off from doing The Missing, said he was going to go home, and he asked if he could go to Greece, and they said no. So he said, "Okay, I'm going home," and then he lied, and he came to Greece and shot it with us. And trust me, he wouldn't care if anyone knows now, because he didn't.
Just remembering,
but you know
how many monkeys we ate.
How many?
Do you remember those, like Greek kebabs?
Souvlakis. I remember us being in a big restaurant, and I'd ordered like a whole chicken, And the guy thought I was joking because I had a couple of chickens for blackies.
Yeah, yeah.
And then about an hour later, I said, "Where's my chicken?" He goes, "What?" He laughed it off again. I said, "No, where's my chicken?" And he said, "No, you were joking." I'm like, "No, I'm a chicken." He said, "We ain't got none left." I went balmy.
That was really funny. Well, they closed, didn't they? And all the meat had gone.
Yeah. I was like, what? What was the frappos? What the cold coffees?
Oh,
Frappuccino things.
Yeah, but they had a special name for them,
and they were really strong.
Yeah, so I'd start off the day a little bit hungover and end the day buzzing on coffee.
Give me a sec, guys.
Oh, this is a nice one. Mitchell gets to pin me up against the wall. Doesn't quite give me a chin. A knee trembler. The sunrises and sunsets were absolutely beautiful, weren't they, Alex?
Just amazing, yeah. And that big mountain there, you just sit in that shot. Stunning. It was pretty consistent, wasn't it? There was always a nice sunset, I think.
But yeah. I'll never forget that the best one that we saw was on the day that our DOP had a bit of a domestic and said, I think I'd better not do any filming tonight, guys. We were still kind of not shooting with principals, but we were trying to go out and get great sunsets or whatever. So me and Alex went out and photographed it, and we never saw a better one. It was phenomenal. The light and the rays.
Pier, wasn't
it? It was behind that mountain thing that you said. That's an island. That's actually the island of Accessory, I think. And we were on Egina, and we were by that small church. Do you remember? And I did a load of photographs of you with a hoodie on, and it was coming up behind it was coming sort of sinking down behind the island. Here's Dimitri pointing out the night spots for Dickens' character to attend on a map. Now we're introduced to Fleming's character properly. And I remember this was the only day that the sun wasn't out and it wasn't really hot, and it was the only day when anyone had to get wet.
Yeah. Jason must have been a bit, mind you, I wouldn't say freezing because it wasn't but
no, he was really game for it.
He was lying face down in that water.
He was totally up for it, and because he does a lot of cold swims, doesn't he, early in the morning? So he was really game. This is where his character's got now. His character originally was going to be played by actor Donald Logue. And Donald Logue, most people will know Donald Logue is from the King in Vikings. Mitchell is asking how he gets in. Go and check your email. Click on the link. I've sent you the link. It's in your email. I've sent it to both your emails. You
can't use Safari to log in, Mitchell. You need to have Chrome or something else like that. Just click on the link and then go through the process.
Alex, you're not having a pee on camera there, right? He says he's backstage, but I can't see him.
He might be on the link to the other one.
No, I sent him this one. Mitchell, I'm going to send it to you again, man. Just I
remember Jason buying us all dinner one night. We all went out for dinner. We were just about to go and pay the bill. And,
I was just about to go and pay the bill.
Found out it was all sorted.
Yeah, Jason paid for. He did that on both shoots. There was a lunch. We all went for a lunch, and I went to pay for the bill. And Jason was like, "It's all sorted, mate." I was like, "What?" Because he knew that we didn't have any money, and it was my savings that was paying for everything. And so, Mitchell, I'm sending you the link again because I don't know if you're backstage. Either you're backstage, but you're not actually connecting, or you're not on the right stream. But if you are backstage, you should be able to see all this.
Iron upper.
I used to love Iron upper.
Yeah, I probably could arrange you in a bit on that. Actually, you know what? This scene, I was pretty happy with you on this. Pretty happy with you on this scene. I think I could arrange you in on a couple of lines. I think we probably could have gone really soft on the you can't get that back, it's gone. I think if you'd gone really flat on that, it would have been such a killer.
I just wanted to throw it away a bit because
yeah, even more though.
Give it away, yeah.
We're 82 minutes to go. Really? I guess that's including credits, of course. So the film's exactly 2 hours, not including the credits. Yeah, but this scene was really good, and I think we did 3 continuous takes, if I remember rightly. Shot the whole thing, kept the camera moving, and then did it again. And between those 3, we got it. Oh, Alex, do you remember the hotel behind this beach was the infamous Mosquito Hotel? Do you remember that, Alex?
What's that, mate? Sorry, you broke up.
I know you've got problems with your
Mosquito Hotel.
Yeah, it was behind this beach. So it's a nice little hotel run by a lovely couple, and they gave us some free rooms when we were doing our recce. But me and Alex went to sleep, and there was about 20 mosquitoes in our room, and every 5 seconds, like, and when we all woke up, everybody had massive red blemishes. I like wrapped myself up in like a sleeping bag with a hoodie up like that. It was boiling. It was boiling hot, and
we'd sort of hop up on the bed and like look at the walls, and we'd splat them with the palm of our hands.
We were up till like 4 o'clock in the morning hunting down those bastards. It was terrible. I like this look that Jason does at the end of the scene. And that was a note I gave him to do that. Look. that little smile. He had a name for it as well. He said, "Oh, you want me to do a little dada?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly that." And no, it was nice. I think is this the Ruby Lux song coming on here? Yep. So this is part of the reason that I've put the film on YouTube is because the Ruby Lux songs are no longer owned by the same company that had them before. Corey's Hardcore. He's got both shows going at the same time. Yeah, so if I wanted to put it on a streaming service like Amazon Prime, I would have got blocked because I already tried to get the rights issue resolved and no dice. So all of the music got bought out and it just became a massive pain. And the Ruby Lux guys were trying to resolve it for me, but the problem is they don't own the rights to their own music anymore. So yeah, well, that happened to the Beatles, didn't it? So it all just got very complicated, and also just with everything going on and my health not being too great, I thought if anything happens to me, this film will just disappear and no one will ever get to see it. So the whole reason I made it was to help people feel better that were going through a similar process. And I might be naive of me to think that, but so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get it up. It's quite old now anyway. We made it 7 years ago. Do you remember this boy, Alex?
7 years ago, wow.
Yeah, hard to believe, right? Alex, do you remember this lad?
I do, and his mum as well.
Yeah, and he had a couple of lines originally, but it just wasn't working, and so I made sure I just got lots of footage of him looking, and I thought, yeah, you know what's going to happen is they're just going to exchange a look because that's all we need. It's like the boy looks at him, and I was trying to kind of show in that scene that kids have a certain perception about things that we lose as adults. And then Dick, and we've got that scene with you going to that temple coming up in a minute. God, the hike to get to that location. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like it was 2 hours there, 2 hours back, wasn't it? It was something ridiculous.
Yeah. I screamed in pain on the way back out loud, like really loudly, because I was in so much pain walking up that track.
Worth it though, and lugging all that equipment and everything like that.
Yeah. Because we were looking at getting a boat round there, but the water was too rough. And it was also like 800 euros.
Yeah, very expensive.
The bright green grease shirts. That's the first shot we did, Alex. First shot on day one of photography was this shot.
That's where we had to hike to.
Yeah. Because it was the only temple location we could get that we didn't have to pay for. And and then you kind of have your like mental breakdown here. And it's a shame actually.
Yeah, I sort of insisted on a bit of this, didn't I?
It was a shame that we didn't have sound on that sequence, but it all became part of like the video song sequence. But
oh god,
it was really good. This was a shot that somebody who worked on the production, I'm not going to say who, Raymond Kinsuttle, said that I should cut because it didn't make any sense. And I said to him, no, it does make sense when you find out the twist. You might not understand it at the time, and you might not even make that connection or understand it when you watch the film the first time. But if you get something out of the film and you like it, I wanted people to find out more things every time they went back about how all the pieces fitted together, because I made sure that they did, even though that was difficult. Alex, that's you body doubling for Jason in that shot.
So like him.
Here, Dick, and your big scene's coming up. I'm just going to dash to the loo quickly.
Well, is this when I meet Mitchell?
Yeah.
And he pins me up against the wall. Not for a knee trembler, unfortunately. This one we'd gotten up like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, driven out there. It was up a little hill, not so much of a hike, but it was cold actually, wasn't it, Alex? That morning,
freezing. It was a hairy journey, wasn't it, as well in the cars? Because we have 2 or 3 cars.
That's right. And the dust, dirt tracks, and everything like that. And I think I left my fleece up there.
Did you?
I lost my fleece there. Yeah.
An offering to.
To whatever God there is. This fleece I'm wearing, I lost on the shoot at some point. And but I couldn't believe the sunrise that morning. It was totally astounding, and well worth getting up for, just for the view, let alone for shooting the film. And
you could hear the goats, couldn't you? Like the sounds of the bells around the goats' neck.
Yeah,
all dotted about the place.
Traveling from miles away, the sound would travel for big distance.
Yeah.
So this brand of liquid is actually a well-known Greek fire accelerant. That blue brand, it's actually the actual brand. And I mean, even though most people wouldn't know what that means, I felt it was important that, you know, somebody in Greece would go, oh, that's that lighter fuel that you buy from the garage or whatever. I liked that shot where you ran across and we just had the sun coming up behind you. And I think actually
we were always under some time constraints because we were trying to catch these beautiful moments of nature and combine it with the emotion that was going on. And so we didn't have any choice. We had to get stuff in 1 or 2 takes, even if they were emotionally laden.
Yeah, somebody actually on the other stream has just said Jason Fleming's a great actor, which was very kind of him. I will pass that on. I
just remember Richard Roberts' his Black Magic camera. The tripod he had little kind of like spindly legs, so it was always sort of that in the wind.
Yeah, if we had any wind, I remember we kind of had to hang on to it, didn't we? Whereas Malta had his really super heavy, it was like a tank, Malta's tripod.
I hope we're not making a WNdo out of that.
I don't follow. Yeah, just put that comment under there.
Yeah, I really like that scene with Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, but the best take that you did was the first one. But the problem was with that take was you were both looking right down
yeah,
the whole time, and we lost your eyes completely, and we never quite got it as good because you both really went for it. And it had a really beautiful rawness of it to it. There are a few seconds of it in here. I got that version of it in as much as I could, but most of it's from, I think, the second one. Just trying to increase the screen size here, but I don't seem to be doing a very good job. But it yeah, a difficult scene as well. It was a difficult scene. Time was against us. We had to shoot all the initial stuff because it had to be dawn. That was very tricky. And then, you know, like when Mitchell throws the photo away, that's a sky replacement shot behind him, which was done by the late great Alan Marks, visual effects designer. I guess Mitchell still can't get in. It would be great to have him on for this bit.
I'll tell you, I had to ring that bell before we left. You remember?
Yeah,
I had to do it. I had to do it.
Well, we did a shot of you.
You cursed the film.
You said "Yassas Hellas, I'm coming home" or something like that, and I kept it in. It's in the movie, and that was like a little bit of like improv. And I thought it was a good shout. I mean it. You know, if we did another film together again, Dickon, and you were doing a role of a similar size, I know I'd get a completely different and pitch perfect performance out of you that would just blow people away. Because I think for me, when we did this, now that's an important shot there, by the way, that most people don't pick up on. That you cut to the bus stop, you see a girl there, and then the bus goes past and the girl changes. That's a big clue to the twist in that. Almost no one spots that.
Like very few spoilers now. Or?
Well, I mean, no, we did same to the end, but I just like pointing out little things that people might want to pick up on. There's lots of clues in the film, and I think you go back and watch it a second time, you get a lot more out of it. I watched it with a friend for the first time in 8 years 2 weeks ago, because it was a friend of mine who just lost somebody. My friend Andy from Highbury, if he's watching the stream, big shout out to you. And I said, well, I need to kind of watch the film again in preparation for this stream. So why don't I bring it over? Because he's got a massive Blu-ray collection and a huge TV. So we watched it on a really big telly. It was amazing how the colors on Blu-ray, so that this is not a Blu-ray, these colors really pop on the Blu-ray. It looks a bit flat here. On a Blu-ray, it looks nothing like this.
Are you sponsored by Blu-ray at the moment?
What's that?
I'm just wondering if you're sponsored by Blu-ray.
Oh, I wish. So this is Atia's story. So you know what's funny about this sequence is we all make cameos in it, didn't we? So Dickon, that's you walking past in the background there.
Yeah.
And there's
some of this, didn't I?
Absolutely. Remember that. You absolutely bossed it on this day.
So Dickon did second unit and directed all of the shots with me and Mitchell in, or that actor called Alex Eaton who looks a lot like me. I directed Alex on the shots of him getting shot, but basically everything else was Dickon. And I was trying to get remember when I ran through that door, I was trying to get my run like macho. And the problem was there was all these really dangerous, like fucking jagged iron bits of spikes sticking out the floor. So you kind of had to like run like really daintily and make sure you didn't put your foot through one of them. And I was trying to do the kind of cool William Shatner role, you know. And but this bit all looked really good. Actually, a friend of mine who was in the military, who watched this sequence, said, "Oh, you're all doing you're doing it all correctly and all that kind of thing." And I thought, yeah, well, I've directed enough little action bits to know how to pull all that off.
Where did we get the guns?
We bought them out. We bought them over in Greece. Oh, who's that?
Sacrificial lamb to the slaughter.
It takes me out.
Yeah.
Straight in the head.
Yeah. And I try to make myself look as different as possible in this shot. So I was not known for having a goatee. And then I saw these glasses in the, I don't know, down the seafront. One of the tourist shots, kind of like Bono sort of glasses that Bono wears. And I thought, yeah, if I put them on and go with a goatee, I'll look quite different.
Do you know what? I thought Steven Seagal.
Yeah, a slightly thinner version of him. Oh, that's Dickens' head actually pops off his shoulders if you watch that shot. And so this is, for the benefit of people watching, this is a flashback to it's set in it's Gaddafi's place, Libya, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Mitchell's character Attia was fighting for Gaddafi because Gaddafi. I interviewed a mercenary who fought for Gaddafi just before it all went to shit because he was paying like $30,000 a day to people. Mitchell's still here. Can you not get in on the link? Mitchell, it was very hot that day. I remember me and Mitchell, we did 2 runs along that trench. We thought this is going to be great, walking around with all the combat gear on and the guns. It's going to be great fun. We did 2 takes. We were knackered.
Can I just say one of the funniest ad-libs at the end of one of those takes was by Mitchell, and I don't know if I can repeat it here, but it was so funny. It had me in stitches for days.
Oh, when he was with Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you said to me, let's do one more take. And I remember what it was. I'm not going to say either. These rocks really remind me of the Star Trek location.
You got stung by a bee around here, didn't you?
I did. That's all in the making of, which you can also see on the channel.
And that was all a flashback for Attia's backstory.
I think Mitchell's line was something along his improv was something along the lines of that, wasn't it? How do I get in? Something like that. Mate, try that link again because I've sent it to you. It's in your email. I sent it twice, but just use the latest one. See if you can get on. But yeah, it doesn't work with certain types of browsers. So
yeah, you can't use Safari, Mitchell.
Yeah.
Chrome.
So yeah, so this is sort of they kind of bond, and they both realise they've lost somebody. One of the biggest problems editing this scene was that fucking boat that was behind you in the background.
Oh.
It was constantly moving.
Anything we shot at the weekend had boats because it's basically like where all the Athens sort of elite like to go for the weekend.
No, but this wasn't on the weekend. That was only the day with you and Vel's final scene. This was quiet, no problem. But there was just one boat. There it is, that one in the background there, and it was just slowly moving about with like no particular purpose whatsoever. The problem was the fucker kept moving in our shots, and there you can see it again there. So when we cut it, we try to sort of make where it is in the background consistent at least.
Such a pain.
I mean, nowadays you just digitally remove it, wouldn't you? But we didn't have the budget for that. Yeah, Mitchell said it said he was backstage, but I can't see him, so not from what I can see. I don't know if there's a maximum number of guests you can have on StreamYard, but I'm sure it's more than 3. So this church was beautiful.
That's quite pertinent. The
another clue.
Yeah,
the retrieving of the photograph of his wife. I love this location. Someone called Josie who knows you, Dickon. Josie O, Dickon, you look the same, just a little grey now. How nice.
Oh, thank you, Josie. That's very kind. Very kind.
Is that someone from Anna Shares?
Josie has joined AST and also attended the script reading class on Monday. She did a fantastic.
So Josie, I hope you enjoyed the scenes that I wrote. And sorry I wasn't there, but
she had a lovely moment with Wolf, and she did her scenes really well.
Yeah, I saw her in the group picture. Well, I hope you'll come back. It'd be great to see you there some other times. I like that shot through the corn. And Mitchell, any excuse to get his shirt off? Yeah. Yeah. And this day was pretty warm, but the water was bloody cold, wasn't it? Because I stood in it with Rob.
It was cold. It was surprising. Yeah. It was surprising. You kind of go in there feeling, substantial. You come out feeling like a garden pea. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's going right in there, and I'm thinking, is this like a Greek scene from Platonic days?
No. Just to remind people, for those people watching, this film is also on the channel. We're actually watching the live stream of it on the channel, and it's going to stay there, so you can go back and watch it at your leisure. Look at that.
Cheeks.
So, Alex, how long did it take you to do the CGI on those to make them firmer, as per Mitchell's request?
Days.
Yeah. I like the way Dick can look down at his mister. Oh, mate.
Yeah, it's supposed to be humorous. Oh, God.
A bit of
I've got more butt now.
We probably should have cut that a bit quicker for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was that like the first take as well? Was there only how many takes was that?
It was only 2. There's 2 of them.
I love swimming naked, though, to be honest.
These girls were great.
Yeah, Christina and Lena.
They were really helpful. And Lena, or was it Lena? Was it pronounced Lena?
Yeah.
Lena. I mean, she was around on our first shoot. And originally she had a bigger role in what was the other version of the script, which got cut. We only did 1 take of this, thanks to Dickon pulling a prank on Mitchell, giving him the full sniff technique. But yeah, and actually I regretted that in the edit suite because we needed a second one. That's why that shot cuts a lot quicker, although you guys are probably more grateful for that. And then in this next scene, there's 2 cleaning ladies in the hotel. They are actually the cleaning ladies from this hotel. We have 4 hotels that gave us accommodation for free. There was, of course, the Krassas family on the first shoot. There was this hotel, the name of which escapes me, on Kia. There was another one on Kia, which some of the actors got a bit drunk and loud in, and we had to have words because we were there on their generosity. And then there was Blue Studios, which we'll see, which is Nondas's house in the film. This scene was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I think you did actually have pants on in that scene.
No.
No? Pretty sure you did. I know those 2 cleaning ladies enjoyed themselves. Now, that shot, this is the Broadwater Farm estate in Tottenham.
Damn, it's not pretty, man. I'm an Arsenal fan behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
Charlene.
That shower was cold that Duncan stood in. No hot water.
It was really nice having Charlene on there. She's old school Anna Shares.
Yeah, and also used to come to Timber
Theatre workshops,
which is where I met her, Graham's class, where we, of course, both used to teach. This conversation that he's listening to is based on a conversation that played out in front of me, not word for word, but all I kept hearing about when I first went to Greece was crisis. Everybody talking about the crisis. It was a bit like COVID,
It was the economic crisis, but also the crisis in trust of the police and the establishment. And I think it was really important, if you're going to do a film about Greece, to make those points, the economic and the social points that were made, especially with Nondas's long speech that comes later.
Yeah, which is actually probably my favorite scene in the movie, and it's the one that was crucial to be in, and I had to kind of.
It's quite difficult to get that right.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think the Greek people that were involved in the film were surprised that I put it in, and I was like, "No, this has got to go in. This is the biggest flashpoint in your country's recent history." And when I was doing the rewrite, I knew that conversation was going to take place, but I didn't know what it was going to be about. And it was one of the other crew members who said, "Well, what about the shooting of Alexandros Kourouropoulos?" And I was like, "What's that?" And I Googled it, and yeah, that all became part of the rewrite, because that scene was the dialogue, and it was the same kind of scene, but it was different.
And that was all shot in Athens, no?
Yeah, we'll see it in a bit. This was the hardest day on the first shoot, because this scene really happened. This I really did this. I went down to the shore and I screamed, and I sat there for like nearly the whole day. About like 2 days in, or one.
It's a really good performance from Dominic on this, because it's
Duncan, not Dominic, Duncan.
Sorry, Duncan, because he'd spent a lot of the performance sort of reining it in and keeping it under the surface, and this was him sort of unleashing it. And he does a great job in letting it go.
Yeah, and it there was somebody on our crew on the first shoot. I'm not going to mention who, and I remember them taking the piss and saying to one of the other crew members, "Duncan, don't you think you should emote more?" And I told him to shut up and that he didn't know what he was talking about, because I was watching what Duncan was doing from day one, and I knew he knew what he was doing. And it was all in his eyes, and it was all in his face, and that was what and his character was processing. Jason's character is trying to process what he's going through, but he's completely lost. He's completely out of his depth.
I was freezing on this one.
Yeah, that was a nighttime.
Yeah.
That shot's from the first shoot. So's that. That's actually looking at Egina. And we go up to that church on that top of that mountain. This is a good scene where Rosie and Jason talk about kind of the meaning of life, I guess. And this was shot on the first shoot. This was second from last day, Alex, I think.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Right. This is in the Krassas family hotel. And originally the hotel was going to be called Rosie's Little Village in the film. And they weren't very happy.
Is this the Krassas family hotel? I don't think it is it?
Not the one we stayed in, but it's the other one that they owned. Right. They had the one that we stayed in, and further along the coast they had the other one, which had a smaller number of rooms and was more of a traditional style. The one we stayed in was very modern in its design, two-story, sort of big block of concrete. This is why we filmed in this one, because it looked much more traditional.
I really like Rosie's advice to Duncan's character in this, because it's just very wise, and it sort of hints towards the end as well. I had the pleasure of meeting Sharon's husband, Socrates.
Yeah.
Absolute diamond of a guy. Really, really beautiful person.
Yeah. I stayed with them one other time. I went with Asher to Greece for a really short holiday back in 2009, I think, to 2010. It was a year after this. And after the first journey to Greece, pun intended. And we met up with them and everything. And it was really great. I've stayed friends with them. I mean, I haven't seen Shirin recently. I think Lindsay Colson has seen Shirin about 50 times since the movie.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, they go on holiday together and everything. I'm still waiting for my invite over for lunch. What's up with that? Yeah, but no, it's lovely that they got on so well, and they're such good friends. And again, Lindsay really, I don't think Greece was particularly on Lindsay's radar either before she did this film, and she's been there like 7-8 times now. including I think she's gone to Rosie's little village and everything. She's actually been to the real place, and so it's kind of nice.
I love the colours in Greece of the hotels and the houses. The
blue shutters and the pink Fournier on the walls, and it's got a very distinctive colour palette that's unique to the country.
And the food is very simple ingredients, but the ingredients are so nice that they make for beautiful meals.
Yeah. And Duncan, of course, has been in Rogue One. Had a great role in that. And I've seen him in a couple of other things as well. He played some kind of serial killer in something, and
it's Black Mirror, I think he was in as well.
In Black Mirror, he was in. Jason Fleming was in Black Mirror as well. Dickon's still waiting for his call on Black Mirror, but it should be coming next season. But Dickon, of course, you had a great part in Rocket Man.
Oh, I felt really privileged to be involved with that. It was beautiful because Dexter actually just asked me if I could get Anna and Charles along. So Anna Sher and Charles Verrill are actually in that scene, along with David Doyle, who I used to go to Anna Sher's with as well. So it was really touching and moving to be doing a scene directed by Dexter Fletcher, who I'd always looked up to since I was a kid. He was a few years older than me at Anna Sher's, and I worked a lot with his brother Graham Fletcher Cook, and Steve Fletcher was an amazing charismatic person. And then to be on set working for Dexter Fletcher with David Doyle and Anna Sher and Charles Verrill in the scene, it was just so magical and moving. Really touching day. I felt really privileged to be involved on that. And
by the way, guys, there's nine people watching the actual film at the moment, which is nice. Along with however many we've got, 3 in here now. I think people have jumped back and forth whenever they get fed up with us. So this scene is very similar to the conversation I had on my last day with the actual lady. Well, I think her name might have been Claire. She's a lovely woman, really nice person. Very different from Lindsay's character, but the thing that they had in common was that they were dealing with a difficult divorce.
It's almost like he just is really honest with her and tells her how to move on, and
I love the bit where he takes a cigarette and says, "See if you can do it without smoking one of them." By this point, this was towards the end of the first shoot. By this point, I was smoking about between 60 and 70 a day.
What?
Christ.
Yeah. Don't you remember, Alex?
60 or 70? That's 3.5 packets.
Well, it was, about that.
I've never smoked that. Most I've smoked when I was smoking was 20 a day.
I wasn't smoking before I went out. I hadn't smoked for years. By the end of the second or third day, I was on 20 or something like that. And it was the first shoot was so stressful because so many things kept changing, and we had one crew member in particular caused us a lot of problems, and it just was really difficult. And I was so stressed, and I wasn't sleeping. I remember on the last day, and I went completely cold turkey. I went from that to zero.
This is lovely from Lindsay. I really like the scene because she there's no vanity in this at all. It's just pure realism, naturalism.
Yeah, she's really, really good.
I think up to this point, it's been one of the best scenes I've seen her do.
Yeah, I mean, she was the boss on Bulletproof with Jason Mazza and whatnot, but that show got cancelled. But no, she's a fantastic actress.
But in terms of just being and not telegraphing and just no embarrassment, no hiding. It's a really good scene from her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how Lindsay and I met was she did the episode where on EastEnders where she disowned Bianca because Bianca has an affair with her boyfriend, I think, and they did this amazing scene together. And I wasn't really an Enders fan or anything. I just happened to catch that episode, and we were doing Sticks and Stones at the time at Jackson's Lane.
I saw that one.
Yeah, one of my best plays, and I invited her to come and see it, and I invited Todd Carty as well. They came on different nights. I think she came on the Wednesday, he came on the Thursday, and because I know the night that he came, there was a massive standing ovation, and he led it. And Lindsay, I think, was pregnant at the time, and I remember seeing her sitting up in the kitchen area, Jackson's Lane. I go, "Oh God, great, she's come," and just said, "Well, I'm really glad you're here. Now, please see some of my work, and I hope we get to work together." And that's it took a long time, but that was how we first met in 1999.
I used to love Todd Carty. It's funny because Grange Hill and EastEnders was sort of like Anna Scherz was like a feeder club for Grange Hill and EastEnders, and you'd graduate from Grange Hill into EastEnders. So, Todd Carty and Susan Tully was a great combination in Grange Hill. And then
I think Susan Tully's a pretty established director now.
Yeah,
and I think Todd is doing a bit of that as well. I reached out to Todd recently. Because I wanted him to come and see False Accounts. No, called his agent, no response. So it's a shame.
Well, I'll never forget that character Tucker for sure.
Oh my God, iconic. And I remember him in Krull. He plays one of the thieves in Krull, and he's one of the ones that survives.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good scene. This scene was it's quite a long scene. I remember that we cut about 10 lines from this, like in the edit, I mean. And it's still a pretty long scene, but it's all relevant. It's all very key to the story. And one of the scenes that we got, we really got in the can, and I was very happy with it. On the first shoot, there was a lot of stuff we got on the first shoot I wasn't happy with, but this scene I was very happy with it. In fact, all of Lindsay's scenes were great. They were either exactly how I imagined or close enough.
Look at the blue of the railing compared to the sea. It's just
Yeah, and I found out Richard Roberts went swimming down there one morning when it was really rough with a couple of other crew, and they nearly all drowned.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, Alex, you were always getting in trouble, man.
That was scary. That was scary, man.
Hey, Alex, do you want to walk down the mountain the same way Lance is going, or do you want to take this really scary path over here? And you'd be like, "Yeah, I'll go with you, Richard."
Hey, man, there's all sorts of dangerous stuff on that shoot.
Joe, you remember when I stopped the hotel owner's daughter from stepping over that cliff edge thing near the house near the hotel? Remember that they had the two young kids. She was playing with Malta's kid, and she wasn't watching what she was doing, and she was about to step over it. And it wasn't a big fall, but it was a big fall for a kid.
Yeah,
Charlene again, and I just managed to stop her from falling over. And I think she would have, had a really bad injury because. And then it also wasn't. How did Blatz's? Didn't something blow up and Blatz's clothes got burned? What happened there?
Don't know if we're allowed to discuss it.
Okay.
Alex doesn't want to get himself in trouble, you naughty boy.
Well, no, I mean, we signed something actually.
Lightning strike. Remember that storm as well? We didn't film it, but now that's my old flat. And if you look in the background, there's a picture of the real Angela behind him.
Off Highgate Hill.
Yeah, more or less. And
God.
Yeah, he's it's a flashback to when he's talking about how he connected with someone online who said, "Come to this place," and so on and so on and so on,
Well, that actually happened to you, didn't it, Lance? You were on a chat line, you were feeling really low, and someone said, "Go on holiday."
It wasn't a chat line. It was a that would have been fucking expensive. You remember the old Yahoo chat rooms? and you had loads of them. There was like and it was all designed. The design of the website was like a big galleon, and you went into different rooms. Like you could go in the galley and the crow's nest, and each one of them was a different chat room with however many people in, and then they based it on however long you were on and how much time you spent on there. You got to go in bigger rooms and more people. It was kind of weird, weirdly sophisticated, but yeah, it was in one of those. They're all gone now, of course, but that's a good shot. That was taken on top of the mountain. I remember that one. Yeah. Oh, that little car. That was one of our crew vehicles.
Yeah. So it broke down, didn't it? One of them.
Was that the one that broke down?
One of them did.
Because I remember our sound guy used to drive that one, and he was super tall, and the car was super small, and his knees were like coming over the steering wheel.
Luke.
Yeah, that's right, Luke.
I remember this scene. This was another social point that the film was making. But if you've seen the making of without do we do it without you knowing, lots? We started to do we certainly had to do it without some people knowing. We were filming the dancing. And
Robbie Williams thing.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was but that wasn't when we were doing this. That was later. You did most of the filming for that on the day off.
No, we did some of it while we were shooting this scene.
Yeah. Because
I remember we were doing it, and then we'd stop, and then it broke into dance.
Yeah.
And then seeing Stelios dancing in his, Orthodox priest get up was fun as well.
Yeah, that was well organised, that little scheme.
Is that available to watch anywhere?
No, you can't put it on YouTube. I've tried.
Because
of the Robbie Williams thing, although Fleming says Robbie wouldn't give two hoots. But I mean, you probably can now. The parameters are different, so you probably can put it up as long as it's not monetized in any way, So and there's Daniel, our editor, with the pink.
Yeah. And Cousins, is it?
Yeah. Good guy. I like Dan.
Fun. Oh, this is the main preaching social conscience scene.
Yeah, this is what I call my my JFK sequence. And windy camera there. JFK's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I really like the kind of exposition scene with Donald Sutherland and Kevin Costner, which, by the way, they ripped on the latest episode of South Park. You got to see that. So me and South Park have now both paid homage to JFK. There's the Blue Studios in the distance where we stayed, and doubled as Nondas's house. So this is one of our actors playing Alexandra Grigoropoulos. Everybody in this flashback scene came from the Roma Theatre School in Athens. Am I right in thinking that, Alex? I think that's the name of it.
Because we went to them and you gave a talk, and then we nabbed a couple of their actors.
Yeah. Sorry, I need to put my phone on silent. And I mean, they were great. We had these kids for the day, and we got one of them to double as. The backstory to this, for anyone watching who doesn't know, is that two off-duty plainclothes police were in a bit of a no-go area called Zathia, which is very kind of student and political in Athens, and the police tend not to hang around in there. And they provoked a group of youths, and there was a bit of a confrontation, and the youths were actually leaving, and then one of them pulled out a gun and opened fire blindly and killed this kid. And I don't think this kid was even part of what was going on. And then there's all like different versions to what happened. There's Socrates, Shirin's husband. So we kind of showed sort of two versions of it. And then all this footage, some of this footage with the police we got when we were on top of the bus, Alex?
Yeah.
On top of the double-decker bus, and there was a protest going on, and we filmed it from the top of the bus.
We walked all around the place, didn't we? The fish market.
Yeah.
Sort of David Macy, that's great, man.
And then we got permission. We got a newsreel footage about the riots that occurred, and we got permission to.
Yeah, I didn't shoot any of the riot stuff with the fight with the Molotovs.
No, but some of the shots with the guys with the riot shields you got. Yeah, and then because the whole point about the death of this kid was it like united the whole country, and they just exploded. They were so pissed off with the government.
Yeah.
And there's a big clue here about the twist in the film where Dimitri says it reminded me of. I won't say anymore. But that was the mother of. I think that might have been the mother of Grigoropoulos that you got a close up of. Then it's certainly mother of one of the kids that was either there, and also the kids that were in that scene. Alex, don't you remember the kids that were in the scene who kind of run away? They were the first two kids to find his body. Do you remember? In reality.
Wow.
Yeah. They were there on the night. They weren't part of the group, but they were local. They lived in the area. They were much younger, and they ran out of their house and they found him, dying in the street. And so not only did they kind of play, well, they played two of the group, but they were great because as soon as we got there, everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And some pretty heavy gang types were
police as well. I mean, it was obviously still quite sensitive situation.
Yeah, there wasn't any police there, though, was there? It's just the Sarthia sort of.
No, but there were police about. I know there was we were sort of on the lookout.
David Macy, thank you for giving us a good rating on IMDb. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for that. He's watching on the other stream, but he may also have this one open. It's just also complimented Lindsay Coulson. Yeah, I really like that. So, like I said, I mean, I've got a lot of favourite moments in the film, but that sequence.
Oh, no. This hotel was gorgeous, but
Blue Studios. We recommend it. Really nice views. You get an amazing view of the sunset here every day. It's on Kia.
Nice pool.
You need to have a vehicle, but just put the sound on for a second on this little shot here, and
goodness me.
Oh, guys, doesn't it take you back there?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Oh,
so we went there. Yeah. We went there 2 years in a row, didn't we? We're going to do one of the scenes. I won't give it away, but
yeah. We visited this hotel on the first shoot, but didn't use it because we weren't in. We only did Kia for a recce. We didn't shoot any scenes in Kia in the first year. But we knew it was there and we'd seen it. And then we decided on the second shoot we were going to film in Kia and nowhere else. So we made everything work in Kia. And this is the only time, bar one, that Nondas and Rosie are together. And I do like Shireen when she tells him off in this scene. You've been damn drinking at the pause again, haven't you? And between takes, she would like improvise and do these much longer versions. Nondas, I know you've been seeing all these women, and just crack all these jokes, and we were cracking up. It was a fun day. And I got Dimitri to proper rehearse this scene a lot, the whole big dialogue sequence. And
yeah, we had to work hard on this.
Yeah, because by this time we were well into the shoot and everybody was getting on so well. You lot were going out drinking every night and staying out till like 2-3 in the morning, and me and David were pulling our hair out. But I remember,
man, I was on point every day. I was on time, man.
I remember the day before this.
He's ready.
I do remember the day before this. That you guys actually didn't go out, and you or at least you went, if you went out for as long. I think because I remember you took a whole like 4 hours and you were in a room together running the lines. I remember.
Yeah, I had to sit in there with Dimitri and just coach it. That's it.
Yeah, because I remember at one point we were kind of sitting in some sort of, I don't know, we created some kind of box, some kind of tent thing within a room, and we were in it because we recorded we recorded the dialogue.
Sound had to be recorded
separately, so we had it with no wind. Yeah. Yeah, because some of those shots were on that day when it was windy, and it was actually in the evening of this day. You and Vel were supposed to shoot your big scene,
and we had to push it back, and that was disastrous as well.
Yeah, because we had the 60-mile-an-hour winds or whatever, and it was a nightmare.
All the weekenders.
Well, that was the winds was what pushed it, and then pushed it to the Sunday, and the Sunday everyone was going home, so there were planes leaving Athens every 2 minutes, and those fucking, excuse me, those dogs. Remember those dogs?
It's almost like they waited for cut.
Yeah,
I mean, almost like they waited for action. You'd say action, and it would be like, ow, ow, ow! Almost like they thought that we were filming them. I don't know how there's so many beautiful hotels over there.
I think for every hotel you had sort of like a shell of a building on the hillside as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of unfinished projects that kind of died because of the crisis, and then there was also a lot of leftover relics from the junta. Remember that big hotel on the hillside in Egina, Alex?
Yeah,
the one that was built for a mistress of the junta, and it was like supposed to be the hotel she was going to run, and had a big pool and a casino and all that, and it was like a wreck, wasn't it? And we kind of went and explored around there for a bit, but didn't use it ultimately. That was kind of a good shot. That's very Star Wars, that shot. It's almost like the twin suns.
I really got into this part about the grieving, and you know, my kids were still quite young, so I was actually missing them quite a lot. I remember I got back at like 3-4 in the morning. I can't remember what time we got back to London, and they had chalked all over my front door with messages of welcome home and lots of like symbols that looked like some sort of Illuminati message or something. And I just started crying when I got home, man. What a baby.
Well, Alex and I didn't come back with you because
they're 13 now and they're just interested in the screens.
Because Alex and I, we carried on filming. We had to go and do the shoot in Athens for the Grigoropoulos thing. So we stayed on another 3 days after the main unit, and you lot went back.
God, we were up against it filming this scene, I think, weren't we?
This is the one that had to be pushed back.
This is the scene that we shot this on the last.
So beautiful in this light. You really caught her on a golden moment.
Yeah.
We did her. I think we did hers first, and so I had literally no time to punt out mine. I think.
Well, we were losing the light really fast towards the end, and because we cut so many times because of noise.
I think I literally had one take,
and I think you know, with the stuff with the airplanes and things, I think actually we should let it be in and just record. I've noticed that there's airplane noises in a lot of films now, and they just leave them in now. So that's a big clue there, Cytherea, which is a name in Greek for somebody else. And I thought you did this bit really good, Dickon, where you went to touch her face, because it was difficult to pull off without it seeming more weird than it was, if you know what I mean. Now, that reverse shot that you got just then, that was on the day when we were supposed to film.
That's right.
What we did was we did a run through there with you doing the dialogue. You can see how fast the wind is blowing, because
we did that without sound. We just did it as a establishing wide, didn't we?
Well, we did it as a rehearsal. You did all the dialogue, and we recorded it from the back so that I could cut the same places.
But we couldn't take any dialogue from it. We had to take the dialogue.
Yeah, this is when you're almost on the verge of tears here. Great performance from you here, Dick, and doing the Roger Moore left eyebrow lift there. There it goes again. Look,
I hate eyebrow acting, but I was honestly trying to not cry more than I was trying to cry.
Well,
you know, when you try and cry, you don't. When in normal life, when I think I'm about to cry, I try not to, don't you?
Yeah, hold it in.
So I think that's what I was going for, and also trying to think of the pleasure that of the time I had with that angel. You know, in that character. And to be honest, I'm thinking about my sister here.
You're thinking about your sister?
Yeah, she died in like 2006. It's tragic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dickon.
So anytime I've got to think about grief or loss, that's where I go to.
I'm sure you and I must have had a conversation about that, but I have to apologise and say I don't recall it at the moment. But you know how terrible my memory is.
Yeah, and I never have to force tears. I have to hold them back whenever I think of her.
There's a great shot coming up where Vel gives you this look, and for me, that was her piece de resistance shot in the film. She just that minute, that shot is just perfect.
It's like she releases me. It's like she turns.
No, it's not that. It's near the last line, and you turn away, and she gives you a look when you're not looking at her, where she reveals who she is, and it's in the face, and you can see it, and she shares the pain, and she shows the audience the pain that she's also in that shot, but you don't see it. She shows it to the audience, but not to you. I'll show you. It'll come up in a little bit. It's after the flashback. Oh man, this scene! I find this scene hard to watch now.
Well, this mirrors your real life moment, doesn't it?
Well, this all really happened, and the dialogue in this scene all happened word for word as is. I mean, it was longer because I was in there for about an hour the first time. And then when I went to the bus stop and came back, I was there for about another 15, 20 minutes. You know, and pretty much the dialogue that happens when Jason comes back, Duncan's character, that's exact. And man, the thing I really remember is that Angela gripping my hand so tight, and yet she had no strength in her at all. That's why that shot's there, you know. Yeah, man, God, I've been through some hard stuff, but that was definitely up there. And this, of course, this is a scene set in London, and it wasn't originally on the shooting schedule for the first shoot, but we were kind of running out of what we could do because we'd lost a day and a half with Tassos that we thought we were going to have. And I was really trying to think, right, what else can I get while I'm here? And I think it was Kiki that went and asked if we could film in the hospital, because I said, there must be a hospital. Can we just get like a room?
Yeah.
And of course, they weren't particularly busy, and they were great, weren't they? All the staff there, so helpful.
My goodness, yeah. Really knocked out there.
Yeah, and we got like machines, and you know, can we have a blip machine and all this, you know, and it's a very small area. I mean, we probably could have staged that in one of the rooms in the hotel if we could have dressed it right, but it felt very authentic being in the hospital. And I remember I had to, that's Archway, that's right opposite the Whittington, which is doubling here for Romford in reality. But yeah, I remember when they were setting it up, I took one look in and I saw Charlene in her makeup and her lips all nearly blue, and I had to run out and go out the back, had a cigarette. That was probably number 58 that day. And then I said to the first AD, don't call me back in until Malta's ready to do the first shot. I can't go back in there until like he's ready to go. So, and then, yeah, we got it. We shot this whole scene in about 3 hours, Alex, something like 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was the last scene we did with Duncan. Which is kind of fitting in a way. Yeah, so this is when he comes back in. And it's really well played by both of them. I thought Charlene was really good in this scene.
Mentioned Christine, makeup artist.
Yeah,
Christine Rivet.
she's a really solid person. She is.
Yeah, and she was on every day of both the Greek shoots, and I think maybe not all of the London ones. Was she on the last day in London, Alex? Yeah, she was, I think. When we had the park keeper, you know, when you had to break in and rescue the park keeper with the head wound.
Yeah, God, I remember that. It was a violent attack.
Yeah, that stole 5 hours of our filming, killed off a lot of our shots. But hey, we saved the guy's life. So
that's right.
I think saving his life was more important, to be honest.
Yeah, we got what we needed.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still hate all those shots. They're so rushed. So that look that Vel gives you is coming up after she does the whole, don't you understand? You know, you had to be there in that moment for her. Fuck me, that shot does my head in. I can't look at that. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to look at that because it's so close to the real thing. So I think it's like at the end of this bit, which is very intense, there's a line where the situation is diffused, and it's just before you say, Dickon, I'm leaving this place tomorrow. And you'll see the joke happen, because I think you both laugh. And you'll see that you look straight ahead, and you'll see she gives you this look, and it's I remember talking to her about it, and I said, I want you to look at him and feel his pain and know and show your frustration that you can't tell him who you are. And she nailed it, which, considering all the dogs and hang gliders and lawnmowers and whatever that was going on around us, was nothing short of a miracle, really. We had to do a lot. We had to do a lot of stuff with your face in post with this scene, Dickon.
Really?
Yeah, loads of work, loads.
Like what?
What?
Took about 2 weeks to make you look beautiful.
You lying dog.
No, I'm not lying. Don't you remember, Alex?
No, I see what you mean now.
It was the light. You see the light on Vel's face.
Yeah.
We had to get the light. We had to get the softness of the light.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I was saying. You couldn't match the light because I had no light. That's why all my close-ups I had one take, because we did all hers in that light, and then the light had gone for me.
Yeah. So
I thought you were talking about like facial reconstruction.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like.
No. Right. Anyway, so that look is coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up here, I think. Look to the future, Hector. Ultimately, that's all there is, she says now. And can you really do that, though?
There's a lot of wisdom in this.
Yeah, I know. It must have been written by a really deep, great guy. Right. So this is the joke where it diffuses. There you go.
That was such a laugh to work with. Really was.
We'll talk about that in a minute. And then...
No, we won't.
Right. Now look at her face. Look at her face. Right. I thought there was a minute where you looked. Well, there was a second where you looked away, and she gave you a look as well. But maybe it was that bit. But she does that look, and it's.
For me, that was when she sort of releases me, and I feel. Finally a relief from.
I think it's coming up here. Sorry, so there's the laugh.
Now it's coming up.
Now it's coming up. Now, yeah, I think it's coming up now because it's. I knew it was after a laugh, and yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if I was, wouldn't this be heaven?
Maybe it is.
She's living her best life right now, is Vel. And she just did a play.
Yeah, I saw in that brilliant play, Runs with Lions. Directed by Michael, who was a friend of mine back in the day. Great play. Really enjoyed that.
Well, there's an interview with Valile about that play on the channel, so check it out. She's one of the industry interviews on here, and you can also see my review of it as well. There is Charlene. And then we cut back to Jason. And all the shots in London are really grim compared to the warmth of Greece, very deliberate. Oh, mate, that was on the first morning.
Yeah.
Mythos, man.
I'm pretty sure those were real beers that you would.
Of course, man. We're going to get non-alcohol mythos. I don't think it exists.
we
even the water out the taps got some.
Yeah.
No, I remember we got that shot on one of the end of days, and I just said, "You just crack them open for real," because it was the last shot of the day, wasn't it? Oh, leaving the photograph behind, Dickham, very symbolic.
Yeah, I've accepted it. I'm giving thanks for the time I had with her.
So all of Jason's storyline, Fleming's, so the character of Ozzy, what you realise when you get to the end of the film, if you re-examine it when you watch it more than once, is you'll realise that Ozzy has had the same experience with Dickon's character. So all of the scenes that you're seeing in your timeline, Dickon, have also happened in Jason's timeline. That they're all duplicates, effectively. So so he would have had the thing with him. He would have had like that conversation on the beach, except with Duncan's character, it didn't go the same way. The connection didn't happen. And he basically sort of just told him to piss off. So you kind of get a brief snapshot of that at the end of the music video.
While I live, I breathe.
While I live, I breathe. Yeah. Donald Logue really liked that line. That was
while I breathe, I hope.
Oh, yeah. Alex, get it right.
Hey, you didn't correct me. You read the thing.
It's an old Roman saying.
Yeah.
I can't remember how to say it in Latin.
Dom spero, spero. I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think
it's all Greek to me, or Roman.
A lot of the shots here were done on the first shoot. That's Charlene's hand. That's right at the top. Do you remember there was that little cafe?
This is soon when I do the yasas alas.
Yeah. That's coming up, and you can see that's on the day we did that on the day of the mist, and you can see the mist in front of you.
I've got my top off. Oh my god!
I know what's going on there. I like the way there's 4 hotels in one street there.
This is brilliant. This whole
yeah, I mean, I didn't get all the shots I wanted for this sequence, and but it kind of works. I mean, obviously there's things in the film. There's lots of things in the film I'm not happy with, but that's just me being very critical.
Considering the budget and the time constraints and the
55 grand, 30 in Greece, and the rest was after or in London. About 30, maybe 35 in Greece. Yeah, and then there you go. See all the mist below you. You can see because you can't see the sea. That's not the water. That's that band of mist.
Yeah,
that shot. There it is.
And it's beautiful, man.
I remember we were down on the harbour shooting something else, and I just wanted that shot. And I said, Dickon, we're going to shoot over there, walk past the camera, and look meaningful. Now, that shot...
How many times did you say that to me? On near benches, on mountains,
That shot there, the one before this one, by the way, this is my favourite shot in the movie, but that shot that preceded this one, that is not Duncan Powell, that is Raymond Kim Suttle.
Oh,
of course.
And Raymond, because Duncan had gone that day, and we went up to the mountain to get all these extra shots. And Raymond was in the film originally playing an American tourist, and we shot his scenes. We had his scenes, but in the edit, they just didn't fit. They really jarred in the piece, and I think also because his character was very peripheral, so they got cut sadly. But I kept his name in the credits. I was trying to even just find a way just to put him in the background, but we hadn't done enough coverage to make that work. And that was the room where we shot the shower scenes, where Duncan was very brave. That was quite windy that day. Well, when we cut to the shot of Attia's newfound love and her family, was that group of people? They were just a family that we met on the island, weren't they? They weren't relatives of Lena's.
They weren't actors in any way, shape, or form.
No, I know that, but they weren't related to Lena, though, were they? They were just like a big.
No, I think so.
I think they were like friends of the mayor or something like. I can't remember. Alex, you might know.
Mitchell would know. Come on, Mitchell. Yeah. Where are you? Where are you?
Yeah, because Mitchell sat with them for quite a while because we did that little shot, and I didn't want to cut it out. You don't really need it in the film, but you cut to the little shot where Mitchell's sitting with them, and he leans over to.
You know he's got a new life. You know.
Yeah. But as he leans over to chat up the girl, the son or the brother whacks him in the side with his elbow, and he's like, "Oh, this kid's going to get in the way." It's this shot here. Mitchell's face is priceless in that.
Mark Zammit's doing really well now.
I said that at the beginning of the stream. I said he's now a director and doesn't do not so much acting now. But I think he's probably going to stick with directing and producing, I think.
A mystery to be lived.
Indeed. Well, that's a cool.
Another great line.
Yeah, one of my favourites, actually. There's Nerdly UK's popped on.
And this is actually one of the oldest Greek restaurants in London, though.
It is. It is the oldest Greek restaurant. I mean, we could have shot this anywhere because you can't really tell, but we did cut to a shot of it outside, I think, coming up.
Didn't Sam DOP this scene?
Yeah, because it was on the same day as the bridge. Because if you remember, we shot this in the morning. Jason met us there. We shot it in the morning. We had lunch in West London. And then we travelled to Archway. And
almost got arrested on Suicide Bridge.
Well, yeah.
The police came along to move us on.
Yeah, well, they're really on it on that. Here comes our Gutos sponsorship shot. I got to drive that boat. Not for this shot, by the way. Well, I didn't really get to drive it. I got to stand behind the wheel because it was all automated, wasn't it? So, the powers of teleportation are about to be revealed. That wasn't a special effect. Like Vel can actually do that. She can teleport to any bar on the island at any time.
That place is where we had most of those cold coffees. I think they were called Frappos or something.
That was right by the
Fredo's Cafe Fredo. Yeah. That's what they were called.
Yes. Yeah, I remember you making lots of Godfather jokes.
Yeah, because Fredo was a mate. Yeah.
Yeah, and this I can't remember what day we did this shot on, but I feel like it was towards the end.
Yeah.
That's when we had to run on the boat and rush off.
Exactly.
I think it was Kiki said, "You've got an hour to do this scene." And I went, "Great, plenty of time." And then she comes back and, no, I got that wrong. You've got 3 minutes. And we're like, what? So I was like, "Dickens, stand here. Wave at Val there. Action." You know,
we had to have her up on there.
Yeah, she was already in place, which was good. So
it's amazing.
But we didn't have communicating by mobile phone, I think.
No, we had radios. We had four radios.
With her, up there, producer
David Friedman was lying down on the ground behind the wall with the radio.
Right.
It's either David or one of the other crew. One of the other crew was up there. It might have been Aggie, actually. I think it might have been Aggie was up there with the radio. It was Aggie.
And that was one of the reveals there. If a sharp-eyed
film. Twist. Now this shot, we were all on the boat, and Vel had to stay behind for us to get that shot, and she caught the later boat with Aggie. But she was fine. She got to spend like 3 hours on a beach with drinking rum and whatnot.
Did we helicopter Fleming in?
Helicopter? No, that was you on that naked scene. This was on that shot on the boat going back. That was actually on the boat going back, that shot. With you, and then that's a big reveal there, which if you follow the plot, Mitchell's still with us, by the way, fiddling at 65 years of age, as his name implies. So this is the scene that kind of reveals who's who and what's happening. And I mean, we're getting to spoilers here, so if you don't want to spoil the film and you want to watch it properly, mute us now, or go and actually watch the film and then come back and listen to us.
You sound like a news reader just before match of the day.
But this is where we realise that the character of Cytherea has been in the lives of all three guys at different times as a different person. She was Jason's best friend. She was killed accidentally by Attia when she was actually trying to reach out to save him. And because Attia had lost his wife and she was reincarnated to try and save him. And then she's also Hector's late wife. And of course, the only person who can do that and live all those different lives is a god. And then she transforms again back into her preferred. Now, this line that Charlene says, I remember we only had time to do 2 takes of this. I can't remember why. And she was not happy with her delivery. And she wanted to do more takes. And you know what? We should have made time and we should have done more. But we were really pushed for time. We had a lot of shots to get in this little sequence and the sun was going down. See what's on Jason's T-shirt? God is a DJ.
God is a DJ. Love is the dance floor.
Yeah. Because, of course, he is Dionysius, the god of party, wine and song. Rosie. Yeah, Dionysus, is that how you pronounce it? Rosie is Hera, and Nondas, of course, is Zeus. And if you look at Nondas, in every scene he's in, he's got a Zeus chain around his neck. And there it is, Calamaris, the oldest Greek restaurant in London. Jason's got my grey hoodie on there.
Have you washed it?
Quick ad for Mythos beer. No, man, I've got it wrapped around my cushion and lie on it every night. That's a cheat as well, because that shot of that boat leaving is not the same boat that you just departed on, Hector. It's you went on the red one and that's the blue one. At least according to the shots we saw. Yeah, and there we are, into the end credits.
Oh, that's a nice trip down memory lane. Gorgeous cinematography on that.
It's hard, man. It's hard to find it really hard to watch it because there's a surge of memories from the shoot. There's a surge of memories from the reality. And then there's also a surge of memories from my life that was happening around the shoot at the time. And I was a much, much happier and more financially stable person than I am right now. And I feel like I've lost a lot since we made this film. So, yeah, I find it very difficult to watch it now. Really difficult. Not for the reasons about Angela so much and that kind of thing, which I've very much processed. This film was me processing that for good. But it's a window into a different time in my life where things were going really well, and by the time we were on the end of this, me and Alex were already working on another film, and it was going to be a massive film, and everyone was going to get a paid job, and then it didn't happen. And so, yeah, it's difficult to not go back to that place, Now, we credited everybody on here. So these are all the Greek extras. If they were, they like the family, all the people in that family shot, the 2 ladies. I don't know if we got the name of the old guy walking up the hill, but if we did get his name, it would have been one of those. And yeah, Stelios and Iona really were responsible for the Greek casting. Well, that's a very nice comment from David Macy there in the. Yeah, Alex, thoughts?
Oh my god!
Can we have a bit of wisdom from the breezy?
Oh no! Well, it's a journey watching it. It's emotional.
Why did I bother asking him? You made it sound like such an ordeal.
Not like that. No, not like, oh, God, it was a journey. Oh,
no. What you mean is it's a journey back in time with there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It was an incredible like moment in my life.
Yeah, no, I just
you know, there's nothing like, you know, this kind of style of filmmaking and low budget stuff, because everybody's in it for the love. Some people are starting out, and everybody just puts in 100%, and you know, there's a fellowship that comes out of that.
A fellowship of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
make our own mythos.
I remember Eula Teffer, who helped out on London. She did loads of stuff for us. Dinky T. Gooner was a good guy, stood in for Jason Fleming. But yeah, it was. I mean, like Alan Marks's name. You know, he did about 4 visual effects for the film, none of which you'd be able to see unless you were looking for them. There's you, Alex. That's you, yeah.
Well, it's just so many people that.
Carly Houston.
Oh yeah, I spoke to her the other day. I mean, yeah, it's just
Claire Robinson.
Yeah. I spoke to her not that long ago. She's been through a very tough time recently, actually. It's sad seeing like Alan Marks's name up there. You know, no longer with us, and he was just one of those people in the industry that would always help. To help me so many times, and the next job should have been the one where I could have given him a big wonga of money. And these were all the people that supported us on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. There was a bit of a foobar about that, but I ran the Kickstarter campaign, and everybody got their rewards on that campaign. And yeah, these were all the people that contributed or just there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of my friends on this list. People from school, people I hadn't seen. There were some people that came to the premiere from my school. I hadn't seen them for like 20 something years, you know.
That was a great night.
Yeah, it was a good night. It was good. Apart from like my bottle of champagne got drunk before I even got to the after party. But I don't know who had that. But it wasn't me. Yeah, because they put it out with the hors d'oeuvres, you know, all the hors d'oeuvres and things.
Karen Chapman.
And by the time I got there, all the food had gone, so I didn't get any of the food either. So because I was late getting there because of the Q&A. So next time we'll make sure they hold it off, eh? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we made sure we credited absolutely everybody on this stream.
Wasn't there a London Greek community viewing of this as well that was really?
They not the whole film. It was we showed them the trailer and I think one of the music video sequences, because I think at the time that we did that, we didn't have a completed film. And I can't remember if that was between the 2 shoots.
And I think we did a Q&A as well.
I think it was after the second shoot, wasn't it? But we still were doing bits and pieces.
Kathy Yotosanya, was she? I didn't know she was on this.
No, she's under the thank yous. Like my parents weren't on it either, but I still thank them. And you know, that comment at the end is not helping me right now. But yeah, Cytherea will return like James Bond. Damn, man. I mean, there we go.
Well, thank you for that trip down memory lane, Lance. Much appreciated.
No, well, I mean, you know, well, thanks. The thanks is all on me to everybody who made it happen. And you know, I mean, I don't know what that. We'll get rid of that now.
We should do this again in 10 years' time.
And let's hope it's with a different film, because we've made a bigger one. Between
I mean, that would, yeah. I mean, that would be nice. Yeah. I mean, I just want to give a shout out to especially you know, Aggie and Kiki, who worked really hard on the film. Okay, you know, they didn't get us money, but they saved us a lot of money, and they made the shoot possible. It would not have been possible without the free hotel.
Aggie, what did you think of that? Yeah, man, that was really cool, man. That was like the slack, Jack. Thanks, Aggie, man.
Excellent. So I'm so glad Dickon didn't disrupt my really important thank you. Anyway, but I mean, I don't really know. There's some people that worked on the film, and I don't even know what they really thought of it because they've never told me. But I'm proud of it. I still give it 6.5 out of 10. That's, you know, me being really hard on myself.
David Macy gave it 8 out of 10, so don't give it any less than that.
All right, well, there you go. But I mean, but the core messages of the film, I think, are really strong.
Yeah.
And actually, every time I watch it again, I haven't seen it that many times. I've been at a couple of screenings, and then the premiere, and then, like I said, the last time I watched it was the first time in 8 years. But it does seem to resonate, and the message seems to stick pretty strong. I'd be very interested to know what people thought of it who watch it, and I hopefully we'll see comments pop up over time. And do review it on IMDb. That's really, really important. I think it's got about 12 reviews on there, most of them really good. And because somebody might see it and either want to take it to a wider audience, or even give me the money to go and remake it again, please.
Or make another film.
Well, I if I could, I mean, if I was going to shoot another film in Greece, apart from the fact that I've already got one script written, I'd probably do either a female version of this, so 3 women, so you flip it all on its head, and then obviously Dickon would cameo as Zeus, you know, in some sort of kind of Greek loincloth. And then but I'd like to shoot the original script actually as well, the one that I wrote for Fleming. And yeah, David's just had people pop over now. Thank you very much, David. Wow. Saw your comments. David, you said you sent me a message about a script, by the way. By the way, I'm the worst person to ask about scripts because I don't have time to read them, because I've barely got time to do the scripts I'm doing. But I can give you advice, but I haven't got time to read any scripts unless people pay me. I mean, then I'll read them. But just because I just don't have time. Just doing some. I'm trying to publish about 7 things this year, and I don't know that I'm going to have time to do all of those. But if you want any advice, David, I'm certainly happy to give you advice. And that goes for anyone else as well. Fritz Zieger, just finishing your. Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. And also complimenting Dickon.
Thank you.
Yeah. And he's particularly talking about the swimming scene, I feel, in that.
I don't think so. I think Mitchell would take all the plaudits for that one.
But yeah, it's
unless they saw the outtakes.
It is weird when didn't somebody prove that in theory there's an infinitive number of different timelines that exist in any reality, and I do feel like there's a timeline that we're not currently in, where we went straight on from the journey. Pegasus Bridge got made. We had the premiere as intended on the 75th on the bridge in Normandy, and that film really blew up. And you know, I'd be in a position to help out all those people that I've always wanted to help out. I've always wanted to say, thank you so much. Here's a big paycheck for you. You know, come and do this job. It pays well. And that's the most frustrating thing for me. So the reason I mentioned Aggie and Kiki earlier, and Alex will remember this, was at one point we were even trying to work out how to get them a job on Pegasus Bridge. Do you remember that, Alex?
Yeah.
And we didn't need them on there, and we couldn't really afford them, to be honest, but because the budget was really tight. But we were paying everybody, and so I just said, well, you know, they could do like second. I think we say like second and third AD or something. I can't remember what it was, but something. And we were going to get them over for that. So
it's a family. It's a family.
Yeah. So I think, I've had people lash out at me angrily at times, and that's actually really upsetting because people don't know how often I've gone to bat for them. And I don't sort of yell about it a lot of the time, but I really do go to bat for people that have done me a favor. I really do. And I'd love to be able to get everybody paid work on another movie. That was always my dream. But as some of you know, I'm pulling out of production at the end of this year, indefinitely, and I'm not sure I'll ever come back to it. I'm still going to be teaching at the Outcast. I'm still going to be coaching actors. I will still be publishing and scripts and writing novels and running workshops, but I'm not going to be actively chasing money.
Well, we're going to be doing this production at the end of May, beginning of June.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, there's some production stuff happening this year, but after this year, because I just think, like, if I get to the end of my life and that's all I spent the last however long of it doing, chasing that dream, but not being able to get it, I think at the end of it, when I look back, I'll be really bitter. But if I spend that time instead plowing all my energies into publishing the work that I've got so that people can read it and it's out there, and also writing my novels and finishing my novel series, I'll look back and I'll feel a lot happier, if that's where
But in the meantime, guys, get down to Barnes, come and see False Accounts. It's going to be a cracking play. It's a pastiche, it's a satirical comedy about a really horrific injustice, social, political injustice that's still going on right now. And them that be is using us for their milk and honey. We are but cows and bees. So come down and watch our political satire.
False Accounts is it's a play that Dickon and I did together with the Outcast last year, and it's booking from the 30th of March at the
30th of May.
Oh, sorry, yes. No. Booking from.
Oh.
Tickets. Oh, let me rephrase that. The tickets go on sale from the 30th of March, and we really, really, really want to sell out. And in fact, my plan is to sell out the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday first, so that then the other nights will pick up. So that is happening at the OSO Theatre in Barnes. Dickon and I are both going to be in it again. So you need to come and see that if you're based in the UK. If not, there may be a version of it that appears on the channel at some point. So Alex, what you got coming out? Coming up? Anything?
What I got coming up? Well, we just shot a feature film yesterday and Monday. We've got a couple more days to go. So I was doing lighting on that, and that's a horror film. Comes out in October.
What's it called?
Turn of the King. Turn of the Screw.
Oh, Return of the what? So it's a horror version of Return of the Screw.
Well, I think the original was a horror, so it's just like a modern retelling.
I'm completely confused. I thought Return of the. Oh no, I'm thinking of Taming of the Shrew. I was thinking, are they doing a horror version of Taming
Return of the Shrew?
In the meantime, I'm just thinking, Return of the Screw. Return of the Screw.
Well, and Dickon, obviously you and I are teaching at the Outcasts on Mondays. Got another class this coming Monday. We're not at our regular spot the 2 Mondays after that. We will be at a different location to be confirmed. And
TBC.
Yeah, and then we've got the production False Accounts. The dates are there from the 30th of June. You can book on the OSO Theatre, but we'll be doing some live streams about that in the lead up to the show.
Yeah,
with our cast.
Can I just say as well? Sorry, mate.
No, go on, mate.
I was going to say it's a great show. It's what Lance does best. The political stuff. It's full of like humor. Caught me by surprise so many times, like surreal, touching, disturbing as well. It's got everything. It's brilliant.
I'm just loving Alex's hair dripping over the eyes there, that I had to give him a solo layout there for a second, just so we could emphasize that. All right, listen. So, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. There's 9 people still here. Really appreciate you tuning in for the watch party. Mitchell, I'm so sorry you couldn't get on for technical reasons, but we'll get you in another time. And it's been a journey down memory lane, quite a difficult one for me, I'll be honest. Actually, I'm feeling pretty emotional right now. But the film is on the YouTube channel. It's going to stay on there. You can go and watch it anytime. If you haven't watched it yet, try and watch it all in one go with your phone off. I know that's a really big ask, but try and do it. You'll get a lot more out of it that way. And if you like it, please do a review on IMDb. Thank you very much for tuning on the Outcast Creative. I'm back for a roundup next Wednesday. I've got a live stream this Saturday coming up. Check it out, where I'm doing a retro review again. Did Southern Comfort last week. That's on the channel already. Got 3 more of those coming up and booked already. And I have got legendary Hollywood stuntman Alan Graff coming on the channel, who's been in absolutely everything.
Amazing.
In fact, before I go, let me just show you exactly who I'm talking about, because Dickon, you'll go, oh my God, that guy. And I mean, this is like, if you ask anyone in Hollywood who works in the stunt world and you say this man's name, they will know who you're talking about instantly. He is one of the people, one of the hardest working stuntmen in the business. He choreographed some of the boxing fights for Rocky.
I think we spoke to him together before, Lance.
No. That was Anthony DeLongis.
Oh, yes.
Anthony DeLongis is also a legendary stuntman who has been on the channel before. But no, Alan Graff has been working in this industry a really, really, really long time. This is the guy I'm talking about.
Right. See you in a bit.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah.
So
Rocco.
So if you remember this scene in Boogie Nights, where he's the guy sitting at the table and the place is getting robbed. And anyway, I haven't confirmed the date with Alan yet, but he has. I asked him if he would come and do an interview, and he said he would.
Brilliant.
So, and I mean, if you look at the man's resume, he's got 222 stunt credits.
Wow.
And if you go right back to the beginning of his career, and you look at the things that he's worked on early on, you'll see any major action film from our lifetime, he's been there. So he's done so many movies that I've seen. So he started off on things like the $6 Million Man, Incredible Hulk. He was a stuntman on The Long Riders, which is one of my favorite films. Cannonball Run, Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, A-Team, Blue Thunder, Streets of Fire. He's done loads of Walter Hill movies, City Heat, Brewster's Millions. The list goes on. Extreme Prejudice, another great film. RoboCop, Action Jackson, The Presidio, Red Heat, License to Drive, They Live. Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze, the original. They're remaking that at the moment. Tango and Cash.
My God.
So another 48 Hours, Ghost, Darkman. This man has been in everything. So what an interview this is going to be. 90 minutes is not going to be enough time. So I'm going to have to choose my questions carefully. But he has been in everything. Wild Bill, but not Dexter Fletcher's Wild Bill, the other Wild Bill. About Wild Bill Hickok, I think that was the We Were Soldiers. He's a stunt coordinator on We Were Soldiers. So he stunt coordinated all the action scenes on Mel Gibson's When We Were Soldiers. One of the Pirates of the Caribbean as well. And he's done not just stunts, but stunt coordinating, which is what you go on to in that line of work. So we are talking about a man who has worked in Hollywood for a long time. And, right from the 70s right through to 2022, where he's doing stunt coordinating now.
Still going.
I can't wait for that. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Do check out those other streams. Lots of more interesting stuff and guests coming up. We will see you all again real soon, but it's good night for us. And don't forget, If you haven't talked to someone for a while that you really care about, don't text them. Pick up the phone and call them. Tell them you love them. And I'll see you again real soon. And guys, we are off.